for an official Rob Brown lockdown. Everything's being real. Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown! This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Rob. Only. The Fan Upstate.
Thank God it's yeah, baby, it is Friday and time for the Friday football fiesta. Here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, dudes and dudettes, amigos and amiguettes, the 4 most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment underway now. Glad to have you. Happy Friday. You did it. You made it. Perhaps you stayed up way too late last night watching wild card baseball, Thursday night football. Doesn't matter. You got to be gassed up right now. A little adrenaline, a little energy, a little electricity, a little gas this morning because football is upon us once again, ladies and gentlemen. And what a football weekend we have lined up. And of course, on the Friday football fiesta, we're going to go over all of it. A busy show lined up for you today. We have got joining us later on in the program. While I am waiting for him to text back the time that is best for him within the available windows, you will all remember our dear friend, colleague, and compatriot, hating-ass Mario, who no longer with the BetMGM network, but still in the broadcasting game, and a noted North Carolina Tar Heels fan. Asked him to see if he wanted to come on and give you Clemson fans a little bit of a preview of that Carolina-Clemson game. At 8:40 a.m., we have got Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast.
Oh, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, I'm interested on the, let's say, mental health and well-being of Rashad after last weekend. I do know that after I said Monday, about an hour after we got off the air, I saw the first vid from Rashad. He labeled the performance against the Patriots. I think the exact words he used were embarrassing. So pretty much consensus there. So what can they do to get right? Can they get right? We'll ask Rashad Beard coming up at 8:40. At 9 a.m., we will, of course, set you up for the local Friday Night Lights scene as John Epps, Kevin Thomas, Jarrell Hendricks, some combination of 2 or 3 of them will join us on the show. We'll give you the full schedule of local high school football and the rundown on everything going on around the upstate. At 9:20 a.m., we will be joined by the iconic Denton Day of Sirius XM, the host of College Football Overtime on Sirius XM. Denton Day will pull up. We'll talk about the upcoming college football Saturday, but obviously we have got some time between here and there to get to a whole bunch of stuff. So, should you elect to do so, we'd love to have you on the program today. 844-326-3663. That's how you call the show. 844-326-3663. That's how you text the show. You can tweet me at the Rob Brown Show. Tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. Get at everybody up in here at the Fan Upstate on all social media platforms. But before we get to the football, let's get to last night's baseball. as the wild card round came to its conclusion yesterday evening. Finished up last night with a 4-0 win of the New York Yankees over the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees protect this house click-clack and will move on now to the divisional round where they will face another divisional rival, this time the Toronto Blue Jays, the owners of the number 1 seed in the American League. And I bring up this game first and foremost for 2 primary reasons. Number 1, youngsters out there, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to, as your generation says, lock in for just a moment with me, if you don't mind. I need you to lock in and listen to me for just a moment. If you are a baseball player and you would like to play baseball and do so in a successful way, if you are a baseball player and you would like to play baseball and you would like to do so in a way that wins you some accolades and some trophies down the line, then do me a favor and hear me out here for just a few minutes. If you are a pitcher, control. We talked about earlier this week. It's about control. If you look up and down the list of pitchers who are currently successful in the postseason, what you will notice is that while there are a few of them, like Mason Miller, who are leaning on gas, that man threw 104.5 miles per hour the other day. That's about as fast as you can throw a baseball. Fastest pitch in postseason history. If you can throw gas, that's fine. But if you can't, as AJ Pierzynski said the other day, if you can't dot a gnat's behind, you're not a Major League Baseball pitcher, okay? So I need you to work on the control. If you are a batter, unless you are just physically gifted like Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire, okay, maybe not the greatest examples. Unless you just are physically gifted.
They were gifted batters. I mean,
they were gifted.
Even though they were enhanced, they still had to have the skill to do it. So I think you're correct in saying that.
They were gifted hitters. They were not gifted in a way that created what they are notorious for having done. But I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. So unless you are gifted in a like an obvious kind of way, I need you to hear me out here. Learn how to put the ball into play in places where the ball needs to go for your team to have as much success as is possible. Learn how to go oppo taco when you need to.
What?
When you hit the ball opposite of where your batting stance would traditionally lead to you.
Where does the taco coming up?
It rhymes with oppo.
Okay, all right.
And people like things that rhyme.
There's a lot of baseball terminology that you throw out. That's the first time I think I've heard you say that before.
Usually the concept of oppo taco is for home runs that go the opposite direction. So if you are a right-handed batter, ordinarily your balls would spray out to left field. An oppo taco would be when you take it out to right field, when you push the ball out and it goes over the fence, the oppo taco. So learn how to control the baseball. Learn how to hit the baseball where the baseball needs to go. They have shifted everybody to the left, and you're a right-handed batter. Learn how to push the ball to right field. Now, the one thing that I need you young baseballers out there to hear me out on here. Please learn how to play good defense. Please learn how to not panic. Figure out whatever it is that you need to do in your brain when you see ball leave bat and begin to fly in your direction. Whether you've got to do like a 1-second meditation or you have to go to your happy place, Happy Gilmore style. The kids I'm talking to probably don't or don't understand the OG Happy Gilmore. You'll figure it out. Whatever you've got to do to make sure that you don't panic. Because last night, the Boston Red Sox were a comedy of errors. And I mean that both literally and metaphorically. Now, They only got tagged for 2 errors on the scoreboard. But if you watch that game, they could have got tagged with probably 4 or 5. And that is true not just about this past game last night. It is also true in game 2. The Bo Sox got game 1. They came out in game 2 yesterday, and there were a number of bad fielding incidents that occurred that knocked the Bo Sox out of game 2, including what would have been perhaps not an inning-ending catch, but it would have taken a Yankee run off the board, shot out to left field that is just dropped last night. Little bloop out to right field. There are 3 guys, second baseman, center fielder, right fielder, all converging on the spot. All 3 of them any one of them could have made the catch. Instead, they all kind of panic running into each other. They all kind of panic when they start getting to around where the ball is going to land, and the ball just hits the turf. Yankees end up bases loaded. They end up getting a couple of runs across. It leads to a disastrous 4th inning. You ended up with 3 RBI hits in that spot, one of them for a pair. It ended up being a 4-0 inning. All 4 runs scored, and it didn't have to happen. They could have gotten out of that one potentially with no runs allowed, realistically probably with a run allowed, and put themselves in a much better spot. Because even though you still did not go out there and plate any runs in this game, and we'll talk about why when I get to reason number 2 this game is leading us off on the show today. I think a chunk of the reason why was once we got to the 7th, 8th inning, and you found yourself down multiple runs, you had to start to press offensively a little bit. And when you have a pitcher as white hot as the Yankees had last night, and you as an offense are having to press, you're having to try to overperform, you are trying to have to go too far in order to get where you need to be, you end up trying to hit the ball out of the park instead of just hit the ball. Just get on base, because you're saying we need runs scored on as few hits as possible, as opposed to let's go parade around the base pass. We had Rob Young from Borderlands in here yesterday, and he and I were talking baseball after the show was over. And we were having a discussion about AJ Pierzynski and the take he played, or I played for you from him earlier this week, where he said that the thing that is most prevalent right now is that we are developing an era of pitchers who care more about being able to throw at 102 than they care about being able to consistently put it over the plate in a spot. Pierzynski told the story about a pitcher that he worked with that said, put the mitt where the ball needs to be to K a guy. And Pierzynski said, I've been in the game 18 years. I never had a pitcher say, put the mitt where you want the ball, and not, I'm going to throw the ball and you catch it. And he said this kid used Freddie Freeman's scouting chart. He knew where the blue spot was on the heat chart, and he said, put the mitt right there. I'm coming to it. And he did. We have developed an era of pitchers who want to throw at 102. Last night, the Yankees had a guy who was just putting it where the ball needed to be. But it created a world where, because of that, the Red Sox, already getting abused because of what that pitcher was doing, the Red Sox ended up late in this game having to try to mash the baseball. And they're not a baseball mashing team. They are a good team. They are a good offense, but they're not a team built of mashers. And late in the game last night, they got to the spot where they had to try to mash the baseball. They had to try for extra base hits. They had to try for doubles and triples, not just be able to move around the base path. And as I talked about with the Atlanta Braves earlier this week, when the Braves had the slow start that they had this year, and the Braves ended up behind the 8 ball before they even really got going, I think the Braves started to press, and it stunk. What happened after the Braves got eliminated? They won like 11 in a row because they weren't pressing anymore. All right, if Matt Olson goes yad, if Marcell Ozuna goes yad, great. But that's not what these guys are. Ozzie Albies, you're not a go-yard guy. Michael Harris II, you're not we know you can, but that's not your thing. Just get on base and let the big guys RBI you around. The Red Sox got to a point last night where they were pressing, and they couldn't catch up. You make enough fielding errors, you give enough opportunities for the Yankees to move around, and you have to press, you lose. The second reason I wanted to bring up this game was because the Yankees had a young man go to the bump last night as a rookie. 8 innings, 5 hits, 0 runs allowed, a dozen strikeouts. Zoe, I wrote it in the Sports Flash. And I am really excited for you to have to say this man's name repeatedly throughout the course of the day without stumbling.
Except for I already eliminated it.
You cannot eliminate this performance.
Well, it's too late.
You cannot. No, you can't do it. You can't do it.
I'm not going to do that.
Cam Schlitter.
Not doing it.
8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, a dozen strikeouts.
I know a setup when I see it.
This isn't a setup.
Obviously, the guy did really well. I'm more worried about you saying it than I am me.
Cam Schlitter. Oh, I need you to know, and this is not a joke. I practiced in the car on the way here today. I said this, man. This is the only person whose name I've said in the car more than this is probably my wife's. On the car ride here.
Well, on the way home, you probably say my name a few times, followed by curse words, but that's fine.
It's day to day, It's day to day. Cam Schlitter. I drove here today, and I said Cam Schlitter, I would guess 50 to 60 times in the car on the drive here. I would wait, and then I'd go, Cam Schlitter. And then I would wait, and then Cam Schlitter. And then I got to the gas station.
You are making me uncomfortable now. I mean.
That's his name.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because
I watched the game last night.
Okay.
I watched Cam Schlitter go off last night.
Did any of the baseball guys have any trouble with it?
No, because we are all broadcast professionals. And we, of course, if we had a Sports Flash today, we would say this is the best performance in postseason baseball from a bump in a very long time. And I think that if you are going to tell the story of last night's Yankees-Red Sox game, it would be journalistic malpractice not to include Cam Schlitter. In fact, I think you would probably have to say, and I think he's earned it, I think Cam Schlitter might get the Josh Allen treatment today.
You could be mad at me, but I already took it out. I mean, I'm not. I definitely
have
took
to
it out.
put it back in.
I don't know.
If somebody that is new to the station is driving around, and there's plenty of opportunities for that every day. Somebody's driving around, and you do the flash, and you go Yankees 4-0 Red Sox over the Red Sox. They're moving on to the divisional round to take on AL East rivals, the Jays, and they had 8 hits last night, and everybody's going to go, well, Lonzo, we know you do excellent sports flashes. Who pitched? What was their performance? Did they have a performance worth making notes of? And the answer is Cam Schlitter had the most noteworthy performance in the playoffs so far. I think that's not right. I think you have to say his name at least 2 to 3 times per sports flash. Yeah, that's how impressive this was.
I love my job and you do this to me quite a bit. And I'm
not his parents. I didn't name him Cam Schlitter.
I'm well aware of that. I mean, this is the first time we've had this conflict, and I feel really bad about it. But I also, it's called preventative. It's called making sure that you don't make a mistake that could be a problem. And
what mistake would you make? Like, would you say he only went like 6 innings and gave up 3 hits, and he didn't? Like that mistake?
Well, yeah.
Getting the stat line
I would
wrong?
definitely, I'm trusting you to be accurate. I would want, I'm not doing it. I can't. Now, if you want to come in here and read that one particular story, like every sports flash, just so you can say that name, I mean, feel free. Actually, you can do the whole thing. I'll just sit back and watch and then cut you off when you don't get it done in time.
First off, you don't want to break out Rob Brown news anchor. I'll get that bad boy done with 5 seconds.
You've already told me every time I'm not here, you never get it done.
Yeah, but that's because it's not a challenge. That was a challenge.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, last night, rookie Cam Schlitter, 8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, and a dozen Ks off the bump. I need you to go around the office today and tell everybody, hey, did you get a glimpse of Schlitter? Unbelievable. Let's take a break. We got a lot of baseball and a lot more football to get to. The Rob Brown Show is a go. It's the Fan Upstate. And Schlitter.
You were still editing when I cut it out. I would have thought you would notice that I just deleted it.
Absolutely put it right back in for you to delete it. Good morning, guys. Stay right there. Be right back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. It feels like this has been a running discussion on the show for a few weeks now. But there is a reason that this has been a running trend on the show for a few weeks now. It is because there is one word in football that I think is the most important word in football. And that word is consistency. That word matters. The word matters because it, I think more than anything else, will dictate the results of any given football play, any given football game, any given football season. And when I say consistency, I am not just talking about any individual aspect of the game. I am talking about every aspect of the game. If your quarterback is not consistent with the way that he plays the game, if your wide receivers are not consistent with the way they run routes, if your offensive line is not consistent with its ability to block, if your running backs are not consistent in the way that they run behind those blocks, if your defensive line is not consistent with its attack and getting to the quarterback, if your linebackers are not consistent with discipline and execution, et cetera, you will fail. But it also applies to every person on the sideline. It applies to head coaches. It applies to coordinators. It applies to assistant and position coaches. That is one of the things that I have talked about quite a bit. When you talk about coaches, play callers, we are not just talking about in the game. We are talking dating back to your spring, your installation. Are you consistent in the way that you teach, in the way that you coach, in the way that you get your guys ready to go? When we talk about the fall, are you consistent in the discipline you place on the team? Are you consistent in your treatment of players across the roster? Are you consistent in your approach to practice, game planning, etc.? Because if things are not to a rhythm, this is a lesson that I got a few years ago that has been monumentally helpful to me. When I left Jacksonville, the butthole of America, and I ended up moving here, there was a 3-month span between my departure from Jacksonville, where I went back to Pensacola, and my getting the job here. And so when I went back to Pensacola, because things were not going great for your boy, I have told you the country music song that was my life at the time. When I went back to Pensacola,
we need to collab on that. I think I could write a good
I'm telling
song
you, man,
about Jacksonville sucks. I think I could do that.
Dude, my life was a country music song. It really was. I walked in on a redheaded girl underneath another dude. Literally a couple of days later, her dog killed my dog. I had to throw everything I own into the back of a U-Haul truck and get the schlitter up out of Jacksonville. Like, it was not great. So I got back to Pensacola, and I ended up, I put myself, not put myself in because this gives it negative connotations. I think this is a good thing, and I think everyone should take involved, but I needed in that moment more than I normally do. I needed a bit of therapy. I went to therapy. And as I was working through everything that was happening with the therapist, the therapist said to me, the problem you're having right now, obviously there's a lot of stuff that is emotionally detrimental, emotionally traumatic, correct? He said, but let me give you the other problem that you're having right now. Every bit of pattern, routine, consistency in your life is gone. And even people who, like me, I say to people all the time, I don't like patterns and consistency. I like spontaneity. I like getting that text at 7:15 p.m. from the boys going, hey, this band is playing. Or, hey, this thing is happening. This beer festival is happening. We're going. And going, yeah, no, for sure. Let's go. Let's get up out of here. But the reality is human beings are evolved as pattern-seeking creatures. We are pattern-seeking creatures. You want to know why all music sounds exactly the same? You want to know why all music is very generic and bland and formulaic now?
Satan.
No, that's not why. Unless you consider late-stage capitalism, that, in which case, let's have it. Let's get weird. Why not? No, the correct answer.
Nice counter.
You like that? Now, music is generic, formulaic, and repetitive because it works. You know why it works? Because we're pattern-seeking creatures. We are evolved when we recognize a pattern, complex or simple. We are evolved when we recognize a pattern to give ourselves a dopamine hit, to give yourself a little bit of the feel-good chemical in your brain. So the reason that music is formulaic.
I was going to say this show does that for me.
All the time. That's why I'm a good mood guy. Because if I can give you the hit of dopamine, you will get addicted to Rob Brown.
Let's all say thank you, Rob Brown.
You're welcome. I'm just here to make your life better and dopamine filled. So when you listen to music, even though you may not actively be thinking about it, your brain is 4, 5, 6 beats ahead of the song, trying to predict what the next thing is, the hook, the pattern, the verse, whatever. And when you do, you get a dopamine hit. That dopamine hit is what gives you that feeling of joy. That's why songs that are upbeat are very catchy. You're like, oh, got it, got the pattern, got the formula here. Upbeat, dopamine hit. Consistency is very important to us as human beings. And I would argue that one of the things that the most successful people in life have more than me is discipline. What is discipline? Enacting consistency. It is recognizing what consistently makes you better and forcing yourself to do that even when you absolutely do not want to. That's what it is. Consistency. I may not feel like going to the gym today, but I am going to go because consistency helps me grow physically and mentally in this case. That's why people who are jacked, bro, They have to be consistent. They have to be disciplined. People who are very successful at work, ordinarily, it is because they recognize the activities that they can take, do, whatever, that are successful, and they have the discipline and the consistency to keep doing those things even when they don't want to. Consistency is what builds and breeds success. Why do I bring this word up right now? Because now, for the first time this season, I think the South Carolina Gamecocks have an opportunity to build some consistency. Going into the season against Virginia Tech, it is obviously week number 1. Hopefully, if you've done it right, you had consistency coming out of spring going into fall. Hopefully, you had consistency throughout the fall in your execution, in your practice, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully, you've got all that together. But when it comes time to play football, you can't build consistency until you do a thing. Until you do a thing. Now, once you do a thing, you've got an opportunity to build consistency. The good news for South Carolina is you've got an opportunity for consistency. You've got an opportunity to put something together. You've got an opportunity when you travel to LSU. You've got an opportunity when you get to that game. You've got an opportunity to do what you did in the last game. Now, here's why I bring this up now. Because maintaining that consistency through a bye week can be more difficult than doing it the week after you play. This is going to be a matter of, can you take what you did last week against Kentucky? And can you recognize what you did well? Can you recognize what worked and what was successful, even if it was against an inferior opponent? I am very much a believer in the cliche of sometimes you just got to see one go in, right? Sometimes you just got to hit a good one. I'm a golfer. I'm a firm believer that when I go out and play around a golf with the boys, get there early, get on the range, go out and hit a few. You know how it works for me? I start with a pitching wedge, and I put a bucket of balls down, and I start swinging the pitching wedge. And once I stick one close to the target, move up to the 7-iron. Hit a few, get into the rhythm. Once I stick one close to the next target, go to the 3-iron. Swing that a bunch of times. Get comfortable. Once I see one go in, that dopamine rush from hitting that right shot, you're going to connect to what you just did. Hang on to that one. Then go work through the bag, get to the driver. Hit a handful. Once I pipe one with the driver, put it in the bag, put it on the cart, go out to hole number 1 and get ready. Consistency. But there is a big difference between working your way up through the bag, piping one with the driver on the range, then taking it immediately over to the first tee versus going out to the range, working your way through the bag, piping one with the driver, and then having to wait an hour until your tee time. The consistency can get lost if you do not work at it. So I am very intrigued when we talk to Lulu Kesson next week. I am very intrigued when we hear the press conferences. I am very intrigued when we start getting practice reports to hear what the structure was for this team on the bye week. To hear what the structure was for this team on the bye week when consistency matters. Are we going to see an offensive line that is going to open holes up for at.w, for face-on? Are we going to see a play calling? This is why I brought up the coaches. Are we going to see a play call that continues to utilize Lenora Sellers like they did against Kentucky in a way that they did not do against the previous 2 opponents, Vandy and Mizzou? Are we going to see consistency with a team that is off this week? It is going to be a tough environment down there in LSU. They're angry right now. They thought it was an undefeated run. That loss to Ole Miss, especially like anybody but Ole Miss, stung. Will they have consistency, the Gamecocks, especially when they are in the face of arguably the most difficult stadium to play football in America as a visitor, Death Valley, Baton Rouge, Louisiana? I have not been as interested and intrigued in practice reports for a team as I am out of South Carolina over the course of this weekend. Let's take her back. What? This is basketball starting lineup music right here.
And now, introducing the starting lineup
Of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. All right, dudes, stay right there for me. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, it is Beastie Boys like.
I
Yeah, it is.
It clicked.
That's why you pick. I mean, you're talking about that familiarity. You're talking about that beat thing. You know what they're doing, but legally, I guess it's okay.
You've got to fight for your right to have a nice social engagement. Oh,
Look
man,
at
I missed my hook.
I mean, it's so close.
Missed my hook. There we go. Vanderbilt, Alabama. 3:30 Saturday.
I am so rooting for Vanderbilt.
I think America is, to be honest.
I mean, I want my teams to win, and I don't think they can beat the true upper echelon. I'm still not sold on Alabama. I think Alabama's going to think we're going to get them back, and maybe they won't. Can you imagine that 2 years in a row?
And at your crib this time.
Yeah.
Right? Not at Vanderbilt. Not exactly
There might be a riot if Vanderbilt were to beat Alabama 2 years in a row.
It would be interesting. The reaction of Bammers towards Kalen DeBoer going from knocking off Georgia at their crib last weekend to then turning around and losing to Vandy in your own this weekend. I think Bama fans would have whiplash from the very different emotional reactions of those two results.
I don't think it happened. You don't think it happened, I'm sure, but it could. I mean, the possibility is there. Vanderbilt is undefeated.
Vanderbilt is undefeated.
Alabama is not, right?
Alabama is not.
Yeah.
They do have one loss. It was that opening week loss to Florida State. Obviously, since that loss, they've been a very different Alabama football team. 11.5-point favorites are the Tide at home against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, that's an interesting line for a few reasons. Number one, not a full 2-score line. Number two, more than a touchdown and a field goal line. So it's effectively like we think Alabama's clearly the better team, but not indistinguishably better. 11.5 is a big line, but just to kind of put that into perspective, Georgia is at home this weekend. They are hosting the same Kentucky team that just got trounced by South Carolina last week. Georgia's favored by 20.5 in that game at their own crib. Bama favored by 11.5. And again, a lot of this goes into, as I have told you before, a lot, this is a good Vanderbilt team. Diego Pavia lives for this type of football game. These are the types of football games that this guy feels like he is going to leave his legacy with Vanderbilt because of. On top of that, Vanderbilt under Clark Lee is not a team that is afraid of the moment. They're just not. They have consistently risen to the moment. In fact, it is only the lower level games that Vanderbilt has struggled with the last couple of years. I'm not saying they've won all the big games, but they've been up for most of them as of late. I like this team a lot. But man, I'm having a hard time thinking they can cover against Alabama, to be honest with you. I know you're not in on the Tide. I am. And one of the reasons why, and I think this is kind of floated under the radar to some degree, one of the reasons why is that loss to Florida State, which, again, I still am not sold that we know what Florida State is. I thought after the Bama win, being elevated to the top 10, 2 weeks in, being elevated to, what did Florida State get to? Number 6, I think, at one point. I thought that might be a little bit high. It was a great win over Alabama. But I also think that it has not been necessarily taken into consideration. I do think this is something that too many of us do sometimes. I don't think we knew what Alabama was. We didn't have Jam Miller in that game. That was their RB1 coming into the season. I don't know how much different that game is if they have their starting running back and they are not going with an RB2-3 mix out of the backfield in that spot. They did not have, I believe, 2 of their predicted opening day starting offensive linemen in that game. Florida State obviously won the line of scrimmage. How much different is if they have the, let's use our word again, consistency of the guys who practice in the spring and the fall as a starting 5, as their starting 5? I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is They have, over the past few weeks, gotten all of those guys back. And as they have gotten all of those guys back, this team has just gotten better. I am willing to admit I am absolutely pulling for Vanderbilt to pull the upset here. If for no other reason, then, if Vanderbilt pulls the upset, great when there's a very solid chance that I tell the wife, I'll be back tomorrow. I get in the car and I drive down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, find a spot on a roof of a hotel and just watch as that city descends into bedlam. It will be chaos in the streets, and I'd be here for it.
I was going to ask if you're going to take a fiddle, but that's a very
No, I don't want to distract myself from watching the Gumps lose their minds in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, if given the opportunity. So
I know some of them Gumps. They definitely will lose their mind.
hey, I broadcasted in the Florida Panhandle, which we affectionately refer to as Lower Alabama. I know the Gumps well, and I love the Gumps. They're great people. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, one of my favorite places I've ever been to go to a football game. I went down there 2008, 9. Alabama was playing Mississippi State. I had a ball, man. The Alabama fans are great. At the same time, they're a different breed of cat, man. Different breed of cat. And obviously, with the run of Saban, they got even more different over the years. But with that being said, I am pulling for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Outside of Diego Pavia, who we know can cause problems because of the fact that not only does he have a gun, not only can he move with the football, he's not afraid of contact. Now, that can be problematic for a lot of quarterbacks. You want your quarterback, like even a guy like Norris, I want him utilized as a design runner. I do not want him hunting contact, right? Hey, if you get to the edge and the edge is set, cut it up, dive. Just get down. Diego Pavia, I don't think Clark Lee has wasted a single breath telling Diego Pavia, if you're going to take contact, go down. Diego Pavia is running into it and doing his best to run through it. I love this kid. I love watching him play. He's entertaining before, during, after football games. You know the mindset that I believe Clark Lee gives to that Commodore team. I think Alabama's going to cover and then some. I think Alabama is going to cover and then some. I think this game is going to get ugly. I don't want it to. I want it to be dramatically closer than I think it is going to be. But I don't know how they keep up. Vandy is plus 340 on the money line. Bama minus 450. Bet 450 to win one. I just don't see how they're going to win this football game. You are looking at, obviously, and for the record, coming into the year, there were 2 wide receivers that were expected to break out on the cover of the AA Sports game. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, Ryan Williams at Alabama. And so far, like they've had some spots, but neither one of them has really put up the numbers you would expect. And I would say that Ryan Williams at Alabama is a big part of that reason why. Then there's the other part of the conversation. While he has not necessarily been the guy, or at least not put up the numbers that you expect in the passing game, and he's taken some criticism. And I think it is fair to get the pub that you got during the offseason, to get the cover of the video game, to be a Heisman. I think if he and Jeremiah Smith, if I recall correctly, were the 2 players that had the shortest odds to win a Heisman non-quarterback. Like, you've got to show up. You've got to put up numbers if you're getting all that attention. On the flip side, I think one of the reasons why Ryan Williams has to some degree disappeared is because Ty Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama, for everything we have said about Diego Pavia, the only thing that doesn't apply to Ty Simpson is the physicality part. Like, he's not hunting contact like Diego Pavia. Ty Simpson is stepping out right now. Past 3 games, and again, this includes Georgia right now. In the past 3 games, he has completed 82% of his passes. He has 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. On the season, 11 touchdowns, third in the SEC, 0 turnovers. Like the kid, we came into this season, and my big narrative about the Southeastern Conference, which I built when we were at Media Days, was I think this league is going to be determined by quarterbacks this year. I think this league is going to be determined by signal callers. If it's Lenora Sellers going to win a Heisman, I think South Carolina has an impact on who wins the SEC. If Gunnar Stockton is everything that Kirby Smart tried to sell him as, Georgia can win an SEC title this year. In fact, that's who I picked to do so. If DJ Lagway down at Florida is everything that Billy Napier sold him to be, Florida can be in that mix. Turns out he's not, but if he was, they could have been in the mix. Is it Marcel Reed at Texas A&M? Is it Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt? And again, I'm not saying every one of these teams are an SEC championship team. I'm saying if these guys stepped up, any or all of them could have had an impact on who was. Diego Pavia is obviously in that discussion right now. Diego Pavia is having an impact on how the SEC is going to shape up at the end of the year. I've already brought it up. With the loss to Vanderbilt, South Carolina had to win, to me, all 5 of their opening 5 games. With the loss to Vanderbilt, despite the fact that that ended up being a loss to a top 25 team, top 20 team, that also, I think, killed South Carolina's chances to make the college football playoff. That's what I mean when I say they have the talent to shape what the SEC's final shape looks like. We went all in. I went all in on the narrative about quarterbacks around the Southeastern Conference. And I don't think I was wrong about it. It's just that when I went in on the narrative about quarterbacks shaping the SEC's final form, I did not think that Ty Simpson at the University of Alabama might be the most important quarterback in this conference. And right now he is. Right now he is. Ty Simpson, and I think, again, I personally think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I'm not ready to say great. I can go back to the run he had to a natty with Washington, and I can and will say a large part of that was because he got Michael Penix Jr. under center. I do not think Jimbo Fisher has a national championship if he did not have Jameis Winston on that football team, right? But I do think he is Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. We know that. Now, the question is Kalen DeBoer Jimbo Fisher, where he stumbled into Michael Penix Jr. and Roma Dunze and a couple of other guys, but he stumbled into Michael Penix Jr. and was carried there, or is he a good coach? I think he's a good coach. I like the system. I like the plays, whatever. But you've still got to have a dog. And I don't think anybody, and I have been thinking about it, I don't think anybody at SEC Media Days, all of us self-proclaimed experts, I don't think any of us thought that Ty Simpson was going to be the most impactful quarterback in the SEC. I am pulling openly for the Vanderbilt Commodores this weekend, if only for comedy's sake. Ty Simpson's going to win this game for Alabama, and it's going to be comfortable. It's going to be comfortable. The spread's 11.5. One of my favorite bets of the weekend is Alabama to cover 11.5, because I cannot come up with a way that Vanderbilt is able to keep it close. Because even if Diego Pavia is going off, do you know what the one thing Alabama can do that other teams, South Carolina, for instance, were I'm not going to say can't, but were unable to do that day? And I don't think it's because Vandy has a dominant D-line. I think they just didn't have it that day, is run the ball. Alabama can take advantage of Ty Simpson being wildly efficient with the football. And because they have Jam Miller and Caden Proctor on the offensive line, they can run it against anybody. It's how they bled Georgia to death. And if they can go to Athens and bleed Georgia to death, as much as I love Clark Lee, football dude, Diego Pavia, football dude, monster, psychopath, sometimes the other team's just better than you. And I think that's going to be the case here. Texas said Pavia makes, wait for it, consistently stupid throws if you watch his film. Vandy lives and dies by staying on the field on third down offensively. If they can't convert some early ones, it will be over by halftime. I agree, and I think that's going to be a problem for the doors. All right, water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 stories when we come back. Then we take a look at the biggest college football games. Hour number 3, we'll do some NFL talk. 8:40, Rashad Beard talks Panthers. 9 o'clock, Moving the Chains, set you up for Friday Night Lights. 9:20, we have got Denton Day of Sirius XM. And now, Lonzo is going to mention the best pitcher in the postseason so far when he does his sports flash.
Up to the minute, upstate.
Just start reading.
I'm going to. That's weird. That should not have happened. All right. It took overtime, but the San Francisco 49ers knocked off the LA Rams 26-23. The Niners ran for only 74 yards, but backup quarterback Mac Jones completed 33 of 49 passes for 342 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Rams quarterback Matt Stafford had 389 passing yards and all 3 touchdowns in the loss. The Rams were stuffed on 4th down in overtime to end the game. The Detroit Tigers eliminated the Cleveland Guardians with a 6-3 win yesterday. The Tigers had 10 hits, including a homer from Dylan Dingler in the 6th and a trio of RBI singles in the 7th that broke the game open. Detroit will face Seattle in the divisional series. The Chicago Cubs ended the Padres season with a 3-1 win in Game 3. Jameson Taillon went 4 innings, allowing 2 hits and no runs while striking out 4. Chicago's offense had 13 hits. The Cubs will face Milwaukee in the 2nd round.
Texas said, could all you're saying about Ty Simpson be said about Joey Aguilar at the University of Tennessee? Good. Oh, Rocky Top. Whoa. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Yeah, I think so. You know what? Let me take that back. I think a lot of what I say about Ty Simpson could be said about Joey Aguilar, but not everything. The one thing that I would say about Joey Aguilar that is different at Tennessee, because a lot of it is the same. We thought there was a possibility that Joey Aguilar, who left Appy State, went to UCLA, Nico Iamaleava ended up at UCLA, so they basically had a trade as Aguilar left UCLA and replaced Iamaleava at Tennessee. That worked out better for one of them than the other one. I think the hype was probably equivalent to Ty Simpson. That is to say, not a lot. It's more, this is interesting than maybe some of the other quarterbacks. Like, if this guy is what everybody says he is. I think we were talking more about Aguilar's athleticism, ability to use the legs to make the play. Obviously not the case, or I should say, not necessarily the case about Ty Simpson. Like, he does not look like the most athletic guy in the world. I think the one difference I would say in the game, in the play between the two of them is that Joey Aguilar, who is a very good quarterback athletically, is also a little bit more of a risk taker, a little bit more of a gunslinger. He is going to take a lot more deep shots than Ty Simpson. He's going to throw up a lot more 60-40 balls than Ty Simpson. Simpson's the guy that's going to find you down the field, and he's going to throw it to you if you are open. And if you are not open, he's moving on to the next guy. Aguilar is going to look down the field. He's going to find a guy that can make a play and get it to that guy. And that has worked out well for Tennessee by and large. That has worked out well for Tennessee and where the Vols are right now. 4-1, the only loss to Georgia. It was a field goal loss. But you look up and down the scoreboard for this Tennessee team, they have not scored fewer than 41 points in a game so far. They put 45 on that Syracuse team that came to Clemson to beat the Tigers. They put 72 on ETSU. They put 41 on Georgia, 56 on UAB, and 41 on Mississippi State on the road.
So why are you not saying that they are the front runner to win the national championship?
I like Tennessee. I like Josh Heupel a lot. Josh Heupel is, I don't know how to describe Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel.
That sounds like the most dominant team in college football. That's what it sounds like.
Well, no, I mean they
score-wise.
I mean, they lost to Georgia, so I can't say that. They lost a game. And again, while head-to-head results, this is a conversation we might have later on in the show, because I still think people are not sure how to weight head-to-head results against head-to-head results with some weight on resume at large. And I want to get to that. But this team lost a head-to-head to Georgia. Granted, very good, very close game. But you were at home. You lost to Georgia. While the transitive property of college football, as we say, that feels like 6 times a week, is very dangerous to a lot of fans. At the same time, Georgia turned around and got beat by the University of Alabama. I think, let me be clear about this. I think Tennessee is solidly in the mix, because I do not think, while I like where Alabama is, I do not think there is a clear scratch that. It's not what I think. There is not a clear front runner in the Southeastern Conference. I think Tennessee's got just as much chance as anybody else. Here's why I have a hesitation with the University of Tennessee. Because I've seen Joey Aguilar have some real bad moments. Because I've seen some bad decision-making. Because I've seen some moments where the gunslinger mentality ends up being a negative, right? Like when we talk about quarterbacks who are gunslingers, who's the first QB that comes to the head? The guy we called the gunslinger, Brett Favre, right? Like, that's that guy. I suspect that if you take a minute to think about it, and you go back and you think about the career of Brett Favre in Green Bay, or with the Jets, or with the Vikings, or wherever, I think you could probably come up with some games where that gunslinger philosophy did a little bit more harm in a game.
Yeah, because he also led, I don't know if he still does, led the NFL in interceptions in history. He threw the most.
Because the gunslinger mentality can do some wonderful things for you. It can create some incredible plays. It can also, game by game, get you in a lot of trouble. And in the NFL, you can get away with that because you have 2, 3, 4 bad games in the NFL and still be a division winner. 2, 3, 4 bad games in the NFL, still be a wild card team and get it right in the playoffs. College football, you do not have that breathing room. I think you have more with an expanded playoffs. You obviously have more breathing room than you did back when it was only the top 2 or the top 4 teams that got to go to the playoffs. You get a little bit more breathing room, but not that much, right? Like your breathing room in the SEC right now, there are 6 teams that have not taken a loss. And so that we are clear about it, 5 of those teams have only played 1 SEC game. Ole Miss has played 3. They are 3-0 in conference play right now. Like they are far and away past 1-1 Tennessee. But that gunslinger mentality can get you in some trouble sometimes when you are playing teams that have stacked defensive backfields primarily, and there's a fistful of those in this conference. So for me, I like Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel, or as Jacob just called him in the chat, grown-up Bobby Hill. I like Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel is probably the most boring coach that I like. If you look around at the coaches that like I go out of my way to say I call football dudes, you know what they all have in common? They are electric factories. PJ Fleck is the dude that sprints down the hallway and does a Metallica stage dive onto his own team, and they carry him around the locker room. It's great. Brent Key. Go look at Brent Key. Brent Key's interviews are not electric, but go watch that guy on game day. He's a gas station, man. He's great. Go look at Clark Lee. I'm a little disappointed that Vandy hasn't been dropping Clark Lee halftime speeches like they did last year, because those things are fantastic. I have a theory as to why they don't. And my theory as to why they don't is because sometimes Clark Lee, he says bad words in the halftime speech. And I think some of the Vanderbilt alumni don't love their school being represented in that light. I'm like, buddy, if your team is for the first, last, and only time in history threatening to be an SEC contender, you can put up with a aura in your halftime speech. Yeah. Genuinely, I'll take some vulgarity if you're getting me as a Vanderbilt squad to 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. I'll take it. So, blah, 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 blah. Josh Heupel's kind of a boring guy compared to those. At the same time, football team's playing right now. They're balling out. And more importantly, I think he saw what he had in Joey Aguilar, and he said, let's put that into the playbook. Let's make sure we take advantage of that. And so Tennessee's leaning into that gunslinger offense. They're running 7s and 9s down the middle and down the outside of the football field and saying, chunk it down there, young man. You got a cannon. Unload some shells. Let's see what happens. But that will eventually get you in trouble, and it did against Georgia, even if you did put up 41. Later on in the season, when Tennessee's looking at some other teams, like if they end up in front of them LSU, if they end up in front of them Alabama, who's got a good defensive backfield, that's where you get into a little bit of trouble. All right, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:09. You've got less than 52 minutes before you've got to be to the office. When you get to the office, you're talking sports. You got to know what's going on. You're welcome for this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Great, you guys, I'm going home."
they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Lonzo, what's worse for me? Being a bad football fan because I did not watch Thursday night football last night, even though it turned out to be, from what I see, at least a pretty good game, or being a good baseball guy in that the reason I didn't watch Thursday night football is because I was locked in on Yankees Red Sox late at night. Which of those is worse for me?
Did you at least have it on one of the screens?
No, I was in bed. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I was in bed.
All right. So I would say
I had one screen.
You've had a baseball show for a really long time.
I don't anymore.
Yeah, but you talked about patterns earlier. You talked about how routines, and one of your routines for the last 5 years is getting all the baseball in that you can get into so you can talk about it tomorrow. So,
I agree, but I to some degree.
Listen, I didn't watch either, and here's the reason why I didn't. It's the Rams in San Francisco. San Francisco beat up. There's no way that they're going to even come close to competing with the Rams, and we both were wrong.
Yeah, I agree. But like, that's why we watch the NFL, right? Because those things happen, like with regularity. It's not a.
It's Mac Jones, though. I mean, the suit is wicked. I mean, that he was wearing.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expected 389 and 2 tutties from Mac Jones.
Yeah,
I got online last night, and one of the things I saw was a Panther fan that I follow on Twitter, and he's like, and I don't think it was sarcasm. He wasn't joking. He's like, "Can we trade Bryce Young for Mac Jones?" I'm like, "You listen to yourself. Listen to yourself for a minute." Although
that was a pretty good game against the Rams.
Can you remind me? Can y'all remind me? Where was Mac Jones before he got to San Francisco? Can anybody remind me? Don't worry, I know. He was at New England when they were in their transition period after the hoodie franchise problem. Then he went down to Jacksonville, butthole of America, and he was there when they were in their transition period.
By the way,
problem. And now he's on a new team with a good coach and a good system, and he's balling TF out.
If he was still in New England when Vrabel got there, he never would have went anywhere. Vrabel would have kept him.
Oh, no, Drake May looks pretty good.
I know, but you wouldn't have known about that.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm saying
I get what you're saying. Fair enough.
The transitional coach was actually Vrabel, which we were thinking it was going to be. If it was Vrabel, Mac Jones would have still been in New England.
Fair enough. The point here is franchise problem, not franchise quarterback problem. We'll circle back around to that. Let's get to item number 1. Sure, why not? Let's make that item number 1. The 49ers knock off the LA Rams last night, 26-23. I think I've got to be furious if I am Matt Stafford throwing for 389 yards and 3 touchdowns and losing the football game.
Got outdueled.
He did get outdueled.
I mean, or outkicked.
Well, I wouldn't say he got outdueled. I would say the Rams got outdueled. And more importantly, boys and girls, on blank and short, take care of the gosh danged football, please.
Say there was technically a fumble that really cost them.
Kyron Williams fumbles going into the end zone. They also had a blocked field goal that changes the outcome of this game potentially. And in overtime, the Rams had a chance, and they get stuffed on 4th and 1.
At least it didn't end in a stinking tie. So, I mean, there's that.
You know, I am convinced now, and I'll play you a clip from Ross Tucker later because he was on Patrick's show earlier, and boy, howdy, he went off on the tie.
There are a lot of people going off.
A lot of people.
You're the only one I know that's okay with the tie.
You know, ordinarily when one of us says you're the only one who, the other one gets mad most of the time. I'm not, because you're right. I think I'm the only person I know that's like, it's a tie. You played a hell of a lot of good football. One team was clearly not better than the other. It's a draw. You get half a point effectively. It's a point system. You get half a point. If that half a point keeps you out of the playoffs, so be it. If that half a point gets you into the playoffs, so be it.
All right, so
it's half a point.
So I've seen a bunch of people that I don't know that are upset about it. The only people I've talked to about it are you and Cole, and you're the only one I know.
Oh, I know. I agree. I am the only one.
So between the two people that I've talked to about it,
I am the only one who's like, yeah, it's fine. It's a tie. Sometimes things end where one person's not better than the other person. You can't go until you die. Like, that's not it. All right, blah, 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 blah. 23-26, Matt Stafford, 30 of 47, 389, 3 touchdowns in a game he lost. Mac bleeping Jones, 33 of 49, 342, and a pair of touchdowns. Neither of these teams could run the ball. McCaffrey only had 57 yards on 22 carries. That is less than 2.7 yards per carry. How many
receptions did he have, though?
Christian McCaffrey had 8 grabs for 82 yards and a touchdown.
There we go.
The point is they couldn't run the ball. 74 rushing yards for the 49ers, 78 rushing yards for the Rams. Kyron Williams responsible for 65 of those on 14 carries, but he also had that fumble going in, may have cost the Rams the game, and then he got stuffed on that 4th and 1 in overtime that did cost the Rams at least the chance to win the game. Let's get to item numero dos. Got a couple of baseball stories for you here. We have got 3 games from last night as the MLB's wild card round came to its conclusion. The Detroit Tigers, who gave up a 15.5 game lead with 2 months left in the season and allowed the Cleveland Guardians to win the division. The Tigers turned around and said, yeah, we'll take that back. Thank you very much. They go on the road to Cleveland for the 3-game set. They finish it off last night with a 6-3 win. Jack Flaherty, 4.2 innings, 3 hits, 1 run allowed, K'd 4 in the winning effort. They pulled Sissoni, Cleveland did, after just 2.1, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, K'd 3. He's a short-term pitcher anyway. but he probably got chased about an inning earlier than I expected. The Tigers had 10 hits on the night, including 1 home run on the evening from a guy I did not know was going to be this morning my second favorite name in baseball, Dylan Dingler. So last night, we had a great showing from Dingler and Schlitter. What a night for people with the mind of a 10-year-old. Incredible evening.
I did
for us.
read Dingler, by the way.
You left Dingler, but you took out Schlitter?
Yes.
That seems like a risk. I get it. I'm good with it. The Cubs knock off the San Diego Padres. The Padres were a lot of people's choice to win the World Series. Instead, they do not even escape the wild card round with a 3-1 defeat at the hands of the Chicago Cubs. Jamison Talon, 4 innings, 2 hits, 4 Ks, no runs allowed, and no walks for Chicago. Chicago from the dish, 13 hits in this one last night, including a home run that went to Michael Busch. Pete Crow Armstrong had an RBI single, and Dansby Swanson pulled in a bases-loaded walk in the second inning. That gave the Cubs a 2-0 lead. Busch hit his dong in the 7th inning. Merrill was able to get a home run to right field in the 9th inning. Padres tried to get a rally going, but they could not. They are also headed to the crib. Chicago will move on to take on Milwaukee in round number 2. And the Yankees are on to the divisional series after a 4-0 shutout win over the Red Sox because of, say his name and he throws strikes. I believe in Cam Schlitter. I hope that we get to see a bunch of big Schlitter performances throughout the course of these playoffs. Listen to the stat line, and please, before I say it, keep in mind, this man is a rookie. 8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts. The first ever rook to go 10 Ks, no runs, no walks in a playoff game. There's not a lot of guys who have done it at all. He's a rook, and he pulled it off last night. The Yankees on to the divisional round. They will face another AL East rival, this time the Toronto Blue Jays. All 4 divisional rounds will get started tomorrow. You have got the Mariners hosting the Tigers, the Blue Jays hosting the Yankees, the Phillies hosting the Dodgers, the only sweep in the wild card round, and the Brew Crew hosting the Cubs in those series throughout the day tomorrow as the wild card round gets underway. Starting tonight, item number 3. The WNBA Finals will get their kick 8 p.m. this evening as the Las Vegas Aces will host the Phoenix Mercury. The Aces are a slight favorite in the series. They are also a slight favorite in tonight. Well, a decent favorite, minus 155 on the money line tonight against the Mercury. I really like this series. On one hand, you have got the Las Vegas Aces, who have the best offense in the WNBA. They score 87 points a game. That's a very solid number. On the flip side, the Phoenix Mercury have one of the best 3 defenses in the WNBA. So this is very much, I think, going to be a test of the concept. Do defenses win championships, or does a great offense in basketball nowadays win you a championship? We'll find out in the WNBA which of those is true this evening. The number 1 offense in LV hosting the number 3 defense in the WNBA, Phoenix. First tip tonight at 8 p.m. Las Vegas, a 3.5-point favorite in the opener. When we come back, let's get some football in here. We'll start looking up and down the college football slate for the weekend. The games that matter, even if it's only to you. That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Happy Friday, Jacob. And yes, see, I don't know if it's me or just my weird group of people I follow on Twitter, but like on Twitter, Bama fans have always been referred to as Gumps.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard
Really?
of it. Yeah, I mean, I knew what you meant, but still.
The Gumps. My one of our favorite days on Twitter, there's a group of us that celebrate it every day. Every day, Alabama does a fan day. And they open up Bryant-Denny Stadium, and they let the fans go out on the field, and they station coaches and players around the outside of the field. And so as a fan, you get to go into the stadium, and you get to walk around and meet all the coaches and everything. Well, when Saban was there, obviously getting the opportunity to go shake the hand of the HC was a big deal. So what they do is they let fans gather outside of the stadium, and then they open a tunnel from directly outside the stadium to the field itself. And when they open it, you would watch Bama fans go sprinting across the field. But I want you to think about every stereotypical Alabama fan you can think of and watching them on a live cam sprint, because they always put Saban on the far side. So these people were running like 160-yard wind sprints to get to Nick Saban. We refer to it annually as the running of the Gumps. And it is a holiday on social media for us because it is comedy gold. It's hilarious. Stay right there, guys. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great One, Lonzo, and you. 844-326-3663 is the number if you would like to be a part of the program. Let's take a look at some of the college football games coming up this weekend and the impact that they may have on the AP Top 25 and the playoff picture. Real quick, I do want you to, if you can, stick around for the next segment. And I'm saving it for the next segment because I've got a soundbite that I want to play for you. The commissioner of the athletic conference had some statements yesterday where he talked about the preseason top 25, which is obviously a discussion.
The athletic conference. That is where the undefeated Memphis Tigers play. That's where the undefeated Navy midshipmen play. Memphis has got a win over the SEC and a Big Ten win in hand right now and are undefeated right now. Tulane has an SEC win under the belt. So it's an important conference right now because it is looking more and more like our group of 5 playoff representative might come out of the athletic conference. And I'm not saying that they will. If one of those teams is able to remain perfect through the season, is it possible one of them could actually grab a bye
in the opening round in a straight seed format? I don't know. Probably not, but we'll talk about it because it's a very interesting comment, and I want to get to it. But I do want to look up and down the schedule and save that one for the next segment where we have a little bit more time to discuss it. So let's get into the games coming up this weekend. Georgia 20.5-point favorites over the Kentucky Wildcats this weekend. And I feel bad for Kentucky because this has got to be for Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart he is owned by Alabama and literally nobody else. But Bama's 7-1 against Georgia in the last 8, including multiple wins in play or in postseason. Alabama has the University of Georgia's number. The problem is not the regular season loss to Alabama for Georgia, because I do think that Georgia's they've got enough ahead of them on the schedule that if Georgia wins and goes 11-1, I still think that they are a playoff team. Now, granted, Georgia does not have the schedule ahead of them that South Carolina and Oklahoma have. They've got Kentucky this weekend. Then they've got a now unranked Auburn. Again, I would keep an eye on the Auburn Tigers because it could be argued that Auburn should be a one-loss team at the worst, maybe undefeated, but that's a rivalry game and it's on the road. Thinking by that, they've got Ole Miss. Again, Ole Miss is kind of one of those teams that I go, it's a good team. I do not know yet that they are proven because we've gotten effectively 2 games worth of tape on Trinidad Chambliss. Will DCs, if they get enough time, be able to figure him out? Figure out where the weakness is in his game and exploit it? Will Ole Miss eventually Ole Miss themselves out of the rankings? We'll find out. Florida, okay, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. You're not changing that. At Mississippi State, back home for what is probably their toughest test yet or remaining, and that is at home against the Texas Longhorns. But that game doesn't look quite as intriguing as we thought it might at the beginning of the year. Not saying it's not at all. This is a top 10 matchup, or it will be at the time because I don't think Georgia's losing between here and there. But still, tough game. Then at home for Charlotte. And then they've got the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. And again, the way that Haynes King is playing, Georgia will be favored in that game. Let's not pretend that Georgia Tech can't win that game. They went to what? What was it, 8 overtimes last year? It's a winnable game for the rambling wreck. Tough uphill, but they can do it. This is we talked about get-right games a lot. I don't know if this is a get-right game for Georgia. It does feel like a game that Georgia needs to go out and they need to cover the spread comfortably. They need to go out and they need to put 24-27 worth of win on the University of Kentucky. It feels like a Kirby Smart special here. It feels like this is a Kirby Smart wants to remind America exactly who the hell he is and exactly who the hell the Georgia Bulldogs are. Give me Georgia by a lot of points in this one. I don't think it's close. Again, Kentucky's not even that good. Here's an interesting one for you. Iowa State is at Cincinnati. That's not why this game is interesting. Iowa State's ranked number 14 in the country right now. Iowa State is currently 5-0, undefeated in the Big 12. Iowa State is currently in the driver's seat for a Big 12 championship and potentially for maybe a bye in the college football playoffs. Kansas State's on the road at Cincinnati, Iowa State's on the road at Cincinnati on Saturday. They're 1.5-point underdogs to the Bearcats. They are 1.5-point underdogs to the Cincinnati Bearcats, a team that lost to Nebraska in round 1, but they've hung 34, 70, and 37 in the last 3 weeks. A team that is very much still alive in the Big 12 at 3-1, only because there are 4 teams with 4 wins and 1 with 5, one of them being Iowa State. The Cyclones are a dog on the road at Cincinnati. This game is massively important. With a loss here, the Big 12, I'm not going to say gets flipped on its head, but the leaderboard gets reshuffled a little bit. And Cincinnati gets a tie and is technically second place in that conference and very much still alive. Wisconsin's at Michigan. Lonzo, Michigan's a 17.5-point favorite over Wisconsin in this one. I think you're probably going to see Luke Fickell lose his job at Wisconsin at the end of the year. They got hammered by Alabama. They turned around and got beat convincingly by Maryland last weekend.
You know, there are some coaches that are good at a certain level and they're not good at the next level. And
Billy Napier.
I think Fickell is one of those guys.
Luke Fickell.
Yeah.
I concur.
Think at the level below this, I thought he was pretty good. This one, it may just be too much.
It may be. This Wisconsin team's not good. 17.5-point dogs on the road at Michigan. Number 22, Illinois, the ILL, 9.5-point favorites against the Boilermakers. Illinois is another one of those interesting teams because they came in with high expectations, aspirations. They were a top, where they were like capped at around 12, 10, somewhere in that ranking. I don't remember 2 weeks ago. Then they got hammered by Indiana. Indiana beat them by 53 points. But then they took it back against USC. And again, I'm not saying USC is back under Lincoln Riley. I'm saying going into that game, the vibes were high around the mighty Trojans of University of Southern Cal. And Iowa State got that win, an impressive win at home against the ILL. This is another game, it feels like to me, that should be out of hand. If Illinois is on a redemption tour at this point because of how they lost to Indiana. And again, I think now, more so than last year, as much fun as we had with the run that they had last year, I think Indiana is a football team this year, like a threat football team. Do I think they're as good as the Ohio States of the world? No, but I do think they are one of those teams that you could argue if they play well, if they play perfectly, even against a team like Michigan or Ohio State, I think Kurt Zanetti could say,
yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
And he would have a point if they play perfectly.
Glad you found that again.
I know. I've been meaning to go grab it for a minute now because Fernando Mendoza is that guy. Point is, I don't think it is a bad loss for Illinois and how you lost the game. Not that you lost to Indiana, how you lost. This has got to be a spot where you stack, again, consistency, a number of these games together. Clemson, 14.5-point favorites the day before they take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. The most interesting thing about tomorrow for me is going to be watching where the late money comes in on this game, watching where the pro bettors in Vegas put the money on this game, watching where this line goes. 14.5-point favorites are Clemson. Do we wake up tomorrow and see that line move to Clemson minus 15.5, 16.5? Or do we wake up tomorrow and see that line move down? Because if it comes down a single point, if it comes down to 13.5, what it will tell me is that the big wigs in Las Vegas, Nevada, the guys who gamble on sports for a living, the Sharks, it tells me that they do not believe there is a redemption tour at hand for the Clemson Tigers. Not that they can't beat North Carolina, but if that number comes from 14.5 down to a 13.5-point game with that magic number, when I say magic number, I'm talking about numbers of confidence. If a team goes to 14.5, that's a confidence number. That's Vegas going, that we believe this team is going to hit that number. 13.5 is like, we feel pretty good about it, right? 14.5 is a number. You've got that number now, but the late money is the pro money. Does that change up? We'll find out. So we're going to obviously talk X's and O's about this game with a little bit more depth later on in the show, but out of the gate, great one. 14.5 points over the North Carolina Tar Heels. It is on the road. What's your take on this line and Clemson's ability to cover it?
I think they're going to cover.
I do too.
They're not as bad as we think they are. They're not as good as a lot of people thought they were going to be, but I think they'll be fine.
Here's the problem.
I thought North Carolina would be better than what they are, and I was wrong. I still would be interested to see your reaction if Clemson does, like I said, I think yesterday, if Clemson were to lose to North Carolina, what it will do to the fan base, because I've experienced that a bunch of times early on. And it is interesting is the only word I can come up with. It's watching, it's like going to the mall and watching people. It's the same thing. Because you could go to the mall and watch people like a few weeks ago and you'd see a bunch of orange. I bet if you go to the mall, if they lose tomorrow, you will see zero orange anywhere.
The reaction of me if they lose to North Carolina is it's predictable. I'm going to come in here Monday. I'm going to say, good morning. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show. The phone lines are open. And then I'm going to sit back in the chair. And I'm going to see, do they ring a single time or do they ring off the hook with people going, we got to change something?
If they lose to North Carolina, which neither one of us think they will, but if they do, then the cries that are just sparse here and there will become an outcry from just about everyone saying Dabo needs to go.
That'll be interesting. Or is it just everybody else needs to go? I don't know. We'll find out. Scratch that. I don't think we'll find out. But I also have this thing that is lingering in the back of the head for me, which is, and I've said this dating back to week 1, I am putting an emphasis this year on what's on tape, what's on the film. Because at the end of the day, narratives can lie, media members can lie, coaches and players can lie, beat reporters can lie. A lot of different things that can happen that lie to you about who a team is. There is only one thing that don't lie. Tape. Tape don't lie. And my argument would be, after the LSU game, we said, hey, this team's fine. They're going to bounce back. And then we saw the Troy game, and the tape didn't lie. And then after the Troy game, we said, oh, they'll be fine. They'll bounce back. And then they played and lost to Georgia Tech. And you went, uh-oh. But we think they'll be fine. It's Syracuse next week, right? It's get-right game. Get-right game against Cuse. Very similar situation to North Carolina. The only difference being I have a lot of faith in Fran Brown and zero in Bill Belichick, but brand new head coach, brand new quarterback, the question marks, whatever. They went out there and got it handed to them by the Cuse. The tape don't lie. And the only concern that I have, the one thing that is, I do think Clemson wins and covers, but I have to tell you, that is going against everything I've said. At Vibes Pick, there's a part of me that wants to say, throw $5 on North Carolina to cover, throw $5 on them to win outright and see what happens. Because what I can say is, while North Carolina is, in my opinion, a very poorly coached team, I will also say they're not a team that rolls over. Like, they fight, but I think that's the boys in the locker room. I think the coaching stinks, and you can out-coach them. The question is, will you out-heart them to cover? I don't know. We'll find out. We're going to talk about the X's and O's of that game a little later on. When we come back, the commissioner of the athletic conference had a take on preseason rankings. And while it's not necessarily anything that would ordinarily make the radar, we've had a lot of conversation about preseason rankings and how they're impacting the rankings today, which will impact the rankings, the playoff rankings that drop a month from tomorrow. So I would like to address that when we come back. I think you'll be interested in what he had to say, because I was. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, T-Swizzle, I think you're being a bit dramatic. 14.5 is too much. We might not even score 15. I might slow your roll on that just a little bit. We'll see. All right, guys, stay right there. We'll be right back. the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Up State. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. The preseason rankings have been an ongoing discussion on this show. Well, Rob, we are like 5 weeks removed from the preseason. Why are we talking about them? Great question, hypothetical listener. I made up for this exact situation. I'll explain. The reason why is the preseason rankings dictate the week 1 rankings, which dictate the week 2 rankings and dictate the week 3 rankings and dictate the week 4 rankings and 5 and 6 and 7 onward and upward until we get to November 4th, which the whatever week of the season that is rankings will then dictate the playoff rankings. Now, not as the primary driver, or at least you hope not, but they absolutely have an impact. And so therefore, it is fair to say that the preseason rankings directly dictate the playoff rankings when they drop on November 4th. And of course, as always, the week 1 playoff rankings or the first playoff rankings dictate the final playoff rankings. It is hard to climb in the rankings if teams ahead of you are not losing. And even though we have expanded to 12, I think any of you South Carolina fans would say, I'd take the 12 seed over no seed at all. Just give me a chance, right? So one of the interesting conversations about the preseason rankings that has been going on is, are they good? And my answer has been, no, they're not good. They're not good. And I'm not saying they shouldn't exist, but I am saying they shouldn't exist. I am saying also, I know why they exist. We had this conversation at length going into week 1. Because number 3, Clemson. Number 6, LSU. Saturday night. Like, that's a lot sexier than Clemson versus LSU. Because the people who are casual viewers or fringe viewers sticking some numbers out front that say, hey, this team is probably a team that can compete for a title is a hell of a lot sexier than saying Clemson versus LSU. And if you don't know ball and don't follow it in the offseason, you might go like, okay, that's 2 big teams, but like it doesn't have the same sex appeal to it, right? Well, the members of the American Conference doesn't get a lot of preseason hype. But if you go look at the American Conference right now, perhaps, perchance, maybe, they should. Because if I go look up and down the American Conference right now, I see an undefeated 3-0 Navy midshipmen. You will remember that was my, 4-0 regular season, 3-0 in conference, undefeated Navy. Navy was my pick to be a playoff participant out of the group of 5. But you will also see an undefeated Memphis Tigers team. And you may go, all right, Rob, what's the big deal about that? Memphis beat Arkansas. That's an SEC win. Granted, against a bottom-tier SEC team that just fired their head coach midseason. By the way, nice Game of Thrones impression, Bobby Petrino. Resigns in disgrace from Arkansas, convinces Sam Pittman to hire him back as an offensive coordinator / consultant, and then bides his time until Pittman screws up, and now he's the head coach again. That is some Littlefinger stuff going down in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Whatever. Memphis beat that team. North Texas right now is undefeated. Tulane is 4-1, not undefeated as it stands right now, but their only loss is to Ole Miss. They have a win over ACC Duke. Again, maybe not a powerhouse, but a win. The point is, this American Conference is probably not going to put forward a national champion. But as I've always said about small schools, even when I'll go, yeah, I don't think that team can beat Georgia, Ohio State, I still think they should get a chance if earned. I think the American Conference is making an argument that they should get an invite to the dance, maybe even outside of just their conference champion. The commissioner of the American Conference is a guy by the name of Tom Pernetti. He was on Sirius yesterday, and he had this take.
The reality of where we are is we have a conference that has the guts to schedule. And if you look at our non-conference scheduling, like we don't have coaches looking to stack wins and buy games and home games. Like we're getting out and we're playing in the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten and the Big 12. And by the way, we're winning a majority of those games, right? So that speaks for itself. The thing that we need to focus on as an industry is like, what is the point of these preseason polls anymore? Like, what's the point? The reality is, maybe some of you guys vote. You're being asked to vote and handicap the top 25, and 50% of the rosters are new players. Like, how is there actual science to that anymore? And I think with the preseason polls, like we eliminated our media poll for the preseason on this main premise, which is you're making a bet on something, or you're suggesting you think the result is going to be this, but you don't have the data anymore. I think we should think about modernizing this whole process where the polls come out after week 3. Like, let's have a body of work to actually make the decisions. Because here's the reality. Nobody in the American was ranked in the preseason polls. The preseason polls tend to artificially inflate the position of certain programs based purely on guess. And at a time like this, like, I am unhappy that the American is not getting the respect that it should in the polls right now. Like you mentioned it, Memphis is undefeated and is winning in the autonomy games. Navy is undefeated. North Texas is undefeated. Tulane beat the Big Ten and beat the ACC. Okay. We have the resume to be inside the top 25, but I think the process is the issue, and we really need to look at it in the future.
Wow. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The articulation is that's what's been in my head all this time, and I wasn't able to say it. I think he nailed it big time. Now will people actually listen?
No. Here's why. When I say that the people who dictate college football are not college football fans. And when I say not college football fans, I don't mean like, oh, they're not like us. They're not like us as fans. They're not out here celebrating their teams and all that. No, I mean like they're not fans of the game of football. But they don't like football. I don't mean to. This is not something that, because this is something Josh Pate says all the time. I'm not trying to rip a Josh Pate take here. I have agreed with this take. I have had this take for a very long time. And it's fine. It's like sometimes this is like if somebody else says, I like chocolate cake, and you're like, yo, you're stealing my take. No, you're not. It's a very popular take. Nobody's stealing that take. It's popular. The people who run college football are not college football fans. They are money fans. They're sales fans and nothing else. And the reality is, while I do believe at this point that the preseason rankings are detrimental, honestly, I think probably the first 4 weeks of rankings are detrimental, not just bad. I think they're detrimental because they craft a narrative, and I think that Tom Pernetti here is correct in the way that he vocalizes it. They craft a narrative without enough information to craft an accurate narrative. And that is my problem. They craft a narrative without the information to do so. And do you know what we call when someone writes a story that is based not on reality and empirical evidence and data? We call it fantasy. We call it fiction. That's where wizards and dragons live. Those things aren't real. Those things aren't happening in the real world. We write stories about them, and that's all well and good, but we write them from a sense of fiction and fantasy. Why? So we can sell some books and make some great movies. Lord of the Rings trilogy is still one of the greatest pieces of art of all time. That's the point. I have said this morning, without it even being connected to this segment, I don't know what Florida State is yet. I don't know. On one hand, they beat Alabama in week number 1, and everybody lost their gosh darn minds about it. And you should have. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But then they turned around 3 weeks later, and they lose on the road to Virginia. Granted, I did see that one coming. I called it on Friday. I didn't call the upset, but I said this is an upset alert game. Florida State on the road for the first time. Tony Elliott's Virginia offense is absolutely dicing dudes right now. This is an upset alert game. I don't know what to make of that because I still don't know what to make of Alabama. They got hammered by Florida State, but then they went to Athens and beat Georgia. Which one of those is more true to what they are? With the understanding that you're never as good as your best game and you're never as bad as your worst game, I don't think we know who Alabama is yet. And I think that matters. I don't think we know who Georgia is yet. I don't think that there is, and I say this, and I do think there are some years when this isn't true. I think there are some years, and I think there are some teams that you look at them and you go, it's week 2, but I know who that team is. Like, we see it. And ordinarily, it's because that team jumps off the page as elite, like clearly elite. I don't think there is a team. This is why I asked the question last week of y'all, and nobody volunteered an answer. Does any team jump off the page as elite right now? Ohio State jumps off the page as very good, not stand out from everybody else good. Oregon, to me, and I mean this, the only team that I look at and I go, that team might be elite, is the Oregon Ducks behind Dante Moore. That team might be elite. They went on the road and beat Penn State. But again, they didn't play anybody before they played Penn State, so is there enough of that to say so? Not for me. Is Miami elite? I don't think so. I've seen some bad spots out of Miami. They haven't lost a game yet, but they were in a fist fight with Notre Dame, who lost the very next week. They for 2 quarters in a fist fight with Florida, who's probably firing their coach at the end of the year. I don't think there is an elite team. The point here is what old Tommy Boy said there is accurate. When you are asked to vote in a preseason poll, in this era of college football, when you have, for any given team that's not Air Force, Navy, Army, or Clemson, you have a huge set of data that is just unknown. Now, you can venture some good guesses. My guess for the Group of 5 champ was Navy. Still a lot of football left between here and the end of the year. Navy still got to play Notre Dame. They lose that game, maybe Memphis goes undefeated and I'm wrong. But the point is, you know what I called that one? Not a prediction, a guess. A guess, because I didn't know. He has a point that what the media is doing, and I will actually confirm this as a media member who voted in the SEC poll preseason and the ACC poll preseason. I will agree with him. We are gambling. We're making a prediction. We're gambling. And for us, the payoff is not money. The payoff is the ability at the end of the year to grab a mic and go, hey, I told you Georgia was going to win the SEC. I are very super duper smart, so you should pay attention to me. That's our prize for gambling correctly. And our punishment in gambling is you lose money. The gamble for us in getting it wrong is that other people get it right. And those people say, look at me, I got it right. And I have to go, yeah, I didn't get it right, which is okay in my book, but for a lot of y'all, it's not. So I think he has the point. That I made preseason, just in the words and experience of somebody who this impacts dramatically more than I do. Preseason rankings, which impact regular season rankings, which impact playoff rankings, which obviously set the playoffs. They are largely based on a lack of information and knowledge. I would not have a problem with that if they didn't have any impact on the season, if it was purely superficial. But they are clearly not purely superficial. So I appreciate that turn of phrase from Tom Pernetti, the commissioner of the American Conference. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll talk some college ball. I got Hayden Ask Mario coming up for you in about 25 minutes. He'll break down from the North Carolina perspective the UNC Clemson game. We've got Rashad Beard talking Panthers. John, Kevin, and Jarrell talking high school ball. We've got Denton Day from Sirius XM talking college ball. Oh, it's going to be a hoot. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you all about Yankees pitcher Cam Schlitter, here's Lonzo Sports Flash.
It's going to be a hoot.
I told you I use old people words now.
It took overtime, but the San Francisco 49ers knocked off the LA Rams 26-23. The Niners ran for only 74 yards, but backup quarterback Mac Jones completed 33 of 49 passes for 342 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Rams quarterback Matt Stafford had 389 passing yards and all 3 touchdowns in the loss. The Rams were stuffed, according to Rob Brown, on 4th down and overtime to end the game. Detroit Tigers eliminated Cleveland Guardians with a 6-3 win yesterday. Tigers had 10 hits, including a homer from Dylan Dingler in the 6th and a trio of RBI singles in the 7th that broke the game open. Detroit will face Seattle in the divisional series. The Chicago Cubs ended the Padres season with a 3-1 win in Game 3. Jameson Taillon, I believe is how you say it, went 4 innings, allowing 2 hits and no runs while striking out 4. Chicago's offense had 13 hits. The Cubs will face Milwaukee in the second round. I am not saying that name, no matter how much pressure he puts on me.
Rob Brown Show back here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, Rob Brown, the Great Alonzo, and you. 844-326-3663 is the number. If you'd like to be a part of the show, we would certainly love to have you join us this AM. You can call that show, get on the air. You can text that show. We will read it on the air. We would love for you to be a part of the show with us. I'm going to talk baseball, but I'm going to talk baseball very briefly here for just uno momento, if you don't mind. And then we'll get back to the football, because coming up in the very next segment of the radio program, Hayden Ass Mario is going to join us. It's been a minute since we've had Mario on the show. Mario is a North Carolina guy. He is all in on the heels.
Very interested to see if he let the hair go again.
He has started to. He's got a very He's got a very late 80s, early 90s, kind of like early Dawson's Creek vibe going right now. Very bro, very, very surfer bro vibe going down. I think you'll appreciate it. We've got Hayden Ask Mario coming up. We will get his thoughts in just a few minutes from now on this Clemson, North Carolina matchup, because for all the conversation that we have had about the get right game for Clemson, this is a big game for North Carolina as well. Like, this is a game where Hoodie can at least take a step towards trying to prove that hiring him wasn't an abject failure. But if Clemson comes out and hammers them by 29 after losing to Syracuse, it's going to look real bad on him as well. So I'm interested to see what Mario has to say about that side of it, that angle of it. And we will get to that coming up in a few minutes. We got to get, interestingly enough, a NCAA basketball story in here because, according to reports, one from Ross Dellinger in particular, apparently the NCAA basketball tournament may be announcing in the next week or two that they are indeed expanding. But to what number?
Come on.
We'll talk about that coming up here in just a few minutes from now. But I want to get to baseball because you shall remember, I assume, that ABS is coming to Major League Baseball games, regular season, and playoffs next year. And if you missed the story, first off, congratulations for getting out from underneath that rock that you have been living under. I'm glad you've rejoined us. It will be on a...
That's kind of harsh.
I mean, listen, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal because when it makes baseball better, those of you that have been anti more correct calls in sports are going to have to say, Rob Brown, you were right. Turns out you're a genius. You know ball. And I'll say thanks.
I know that you prepare for things. Have you prepared to deal with it if it doesn't make it better?
No.
I know in your mind there's no way that it could not, but what if it doesn't make it better?
No, it will. It's already done that. It's already done it at the minor league system. It's already done it in spring training. I've already seen it happen. It's already made the game better. And let me explain to you why it has made the game better. Last night, we had a Major League Baseball game take place in Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City, where the Chi-Town Cubs were at home trying to protect this house, click-clack, against the San Diego Padres. The Padres, a very good baseball team, a 90-win baseball team this year. And in fact, they were the pick of a number of very smart baseball knowers, including my dear friend, colleague, and sometimes co-host Cody Decker. They were the pick to be the Shot National League winner because good pitching, really good bullpen, good lineup of hitters. So last night, they were on the road at Chicago. It is the top of the 9th inning in Chicago, Illinois. Brad Keller is on the bump for the Cubbies. Xander Bogaerts is at the dish, top 9. Nobody on, nobody out. They are down a pair of runs. Very overcomable with the team, with the bats that the Padres have. And this happened.
A 3-2 from Keller. DJ Rayburn just bailed out Keller, and Bogaerts knows it. Next year, that is a helmet tap in a millisecond.
That will definitely be a hat tapper next year.
Not a strike. And honestly, a great take. This is a full count take below the zone. To be able to spit on this pitch is a great at bat. He should be on first base. That is not close.
Credit to Carson Kelly for framing it, but a huge, huge break for the Cubs. They won't complain. They get the first out. And a late strike call to O'Hearn on 2.
Well, watch it just right below the bottom of the zone. You're right, KB. Carson Kelly might have stolen that one. He yanked that one up so quick.
Carson Kelly, the catcher for the San Diego Padres, who indeed fooled the umpire. That pitch was a solid 4 to 5 inches below the zone. Like this wasn't a pitch where you go, oh, it was close and we need the K zone. This wasn't close. Let's get the laser level out and find out. Let's go get that million frame per second camera out. This was clearly and evidently across the shins of Xander Bogaerts. And Carson Kelly puts the glove in, pow, pulls it up real quick, frames it, as catchers have done historically when ABS wasn't available to, trick the umpire into making an incorrect call. Brad Keller threw a bad pitch on 3-2 to a very dangerous base runner in Xander Bogaerts, a guy who has steal-a-bag capabilities, a guy who has first to home on a double capability, a guy that could have brought the Padres within one. And, of course, a guy who, batting fifth in the lineup, had Ryan O'Hearn, an all-star behind him, had Gavin Sheets, who won a World Series with the Dodgers behind him, who had Jake Cronenworth batting eighth, a guy who got paid $1 gazillion to leave the Rockies and come over. 1, 2, 3 extra base hitters behind Xander Bogaerts, which is 1, 2, 3 potentially more runs. And keep in mind, no outs. That is a threat to steal runner on first base with 0 outs, with all-star World Series winner and multi-million-dollar man Jake Cronenworth behind him. And if all 3 of those guys can get on, not only is the game likely tied, but you get through a couple of those guys, you come to a part where you've got Fernando Tatis back at the dish, Luis Reyes back at the dish, Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill coming up in the top of the order, if you can get there. And with 0 outs and batting 5, you just need 3 of the 5 guys batting from 5th to 9th. 3 of those 5 get on base. I'm bringing up a murderer's row of Tatis, Arias, Machado, and Merrill. A murderer's row if I can get there. But instead we got the punch him up, ring him up. DJ Rayburn, the umpire, rings him up on a ball that is across the shins. This is the reason. Back in, April, May, when we have a missed call and I bring it up and people go, Rob, it's a regular season game. Just like you all do when I complain about teams losing in stupid ways. And I say, hey, sometimes teams miss the playoffs by a single win. Am I right, New York Mets, who missed the playoffs by a single win and lost a lot of stupid games in a lot of stupid ways? And I called it out and people go, Rob, there's 162 games. I'm aware. And one of them can keep you out of the playoffs, New York Mets. So when this happens in the regular season, I think because baseball plays 162 games, a lot of y'all go, hey, it's one bad call. It's one game. It doesn't matter. This was an elimination game in the postseason, an elimination game in the playoffs for a team that, yes, was a wild card squad, but they were only a wild card squad because they played in the same division as the LA Dodgers, who, yes, were the 3 seed and miserably failed to meet expectations and were still the 3 seed. And, oh, by the way, the only team that swept in round number 1. I'm not saying the Padres would have won this baseball game. I'm saying the likelihood, the possibility, the opportunity for the Fathers to win this baseball game exponentially decreased because of an abysmal call. I'm not talking about a judgment call, a borderline. It was at the knees, but was it right below? Was it at it? Was it good? I'm not talking about it was close. I'm talking about this was a very obvious, before the call got made when I was watching this game yesterday afternoon, as soon as that crossed the dish and I saw the umpire, DJ Rayburn, pop up, because obviously you watch enough these games, you start to see when guys are doing their, hey, everybody look at me strikeout dance. When he popped up, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way he's calling this a strike. Bogaerts has got to be on his way to first. And he was, except for then he got told, you're out, you're done, you're cooked. Strike 3. What? It was obvious on the pitch. I didn't need a replay. It was painfully clear it was a ball. Next year, that is a moment where Xander Bogaerts is going to turn around. He's going to look at DJ Rayburn, and he is going to aggressively as hell tap the side of the helmet and go, why don't you take a look at that one and own it, big fella? Why don't you take a look at own this? Because yesterday, that pitch was a huge part of the reason that the San Diego Padres are on a flight home this morning because of that call. This is why, cool, we have ABS. It's the 2-challenge system. Every team gets 2 challenges to start the game. If you make a challenge and it is successful, you retain the challenge. If you make the challenge and it is unsuccessful, you lose the challenge. Why are we not just going to just radar every pitch? Just laser every pitch. Why do we have to waste time with the challenge and waiting for the call and getting the video up on the Jumbotron and resetting the pitch clock and resetting the pitcher and resetting the catcher, resetting the batter, reset it? Just do it, and let's get this over with so we can move on so that a call that, again, not saying they would have, but all they had to do was get 3 of 5 batters aboard. There was number 1 with, by the way, 3 outs still to play with, get 1 guy on. And the Padres circle back around to the leadoff man and 4 consecutive all-star caliber players coming to the plate, needing at that point, if they were able to do that, probably 1 more run to tie, maybe 1 more run to take the lead and not only not get eliminated, but to move on. How are we still good with this? If you want to say in April, I don't care, human element, that's fine. I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of sad Fathers fans waking up this morning in San Diego, California, that if you were to say the words human element to them, they'd probably punch you in the nose. Because it was, again, I'm not going to say it was the human element that lost them the game. What lost them the game was allowing the Cubs to score 3 and only finding the bags enough times to score 1 leading up to that point. What I am saying is, when you say human element, the players are the human element. The players. The players are the only human element that should matter. I get so exhausted when I hear the words human element because there is a human element to baseball. It is the humans that play baseball. A strike is a strike and a ball is a ball. It should not matter what the human thinks about it. It's either a ball or it's a strike. 1 or 2. No other options. This is what I have been talking about. And throughout the course of the regular season, when we were talking about this stuff. Through the course of the regular season, when I was saying, hey, this umpire just had a 20% failure call rate. Why are we not going ABS? And you guys kept saying, so 162 games, Rob, who cares? I kept throwing out the hypothetical. Cool, but what happens if a blown call cost a team a playoff series? Not a game, but a series. And again, maybe the Padres don't win. Maybe Keller goes, okay, I'm not getting the low strikes. I got to bring it up a little bit. Leans back on the heater, strikes out the next 3 guys. Maybe. But wouldn't you rather know that? Wouldn't you rather that call be correct? Xander Bogaerts goes to first. There's no outs because Bogaerts, again, Keller throws a breaking ball. Bogaerts checks out. He's on second base. Now there's no force out. Now the next hitter gets something. The only out's at first, meaning Bogaerts has got the opportunity to play it safe, be aggressive, go to third. Now I got runners on the corners. And just like that, extra base hit ties the game up. Like, I don't get it. I don't get at this point how anybody, especially after seeing last night a bad call, maybe not cause the Padres to lose, but cost the Padres, in my opinion, the opportunity to win. Because now I'm at spot number 6 in the lineup with 2 outs to work with instead of spot number 6 with a man on the tying run at the dish and all 3 outs to work with a pitcher who might be a little bit rattled. Like, this is why I complain. This is why I have a problem. This is why I am ready for ABS. I'll take the challenge system because it's the compromise, and I know I'm going to need like 2 to 3 seasons. For those of you who still think the human element should apply to anything except human baseball players. But it's going to work because last night you get a tap on the helmet. The umpire turns around. He goes after review. The call is overturned. It is a ball 4. Runner takes his base. Now the game is changed. Now there's tension in the air hovering over Wrigley Field, which is baseball at its best. Instead, I got that. Not cool, man. Not cool, bro. That's the takeaway. It was embarrassing. Go to it full time. Just do it. You've already got the tech. I know you have the tech because you're literally using it. Just do that. Let's move on. so that this isn't a thing anymore. All right, when we come back, we start our lineup of guests. We've got Hayden Ask Mario joining us in the next segment of the show. He will break down from the UNC perspective this Clemson, North Carolina game tomorrow. Then Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, pulls up. We'll talk to him about what the hell happened last weekend against New England and how they can get it fixed on the road at Miami, a very winnable game this weekend. Then we have got the boys from the Movin the Chains podcast stopping by at 9 a.m. straight up. We will talk to them about the high school football weekend coming up. And then at 9:20, Denton Day, host of Sirius XM's College Football Overtime, pulls up. We'll get his thoughts on the weekend. We finna get busy, y'all. And I mean that in every sense of the word. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
I will.
All right, guys. Live read. We'll be back with Mario after this. Stay right there for me.
thing is the thing is supposed to be the thing.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hello.
Wait, that's on me. Why are we? Oh, because
Yeah, that's why. We've only been doing this 4 years. I will figure it out eventually.
Probably not.
Hey, you
4 times
decorated your
the
wall. I'm very happy to see that, Mario.
I literally had these posters just on the ground for like the past 2 months.
Way to get your life together. Is it because I made fun of you sitting in front of what I assume was a hostage situation wall?
No, it's literally because I had it like written down on my planner for like the past month, and I just haven't been doing it. And then I was like, okay, I need to do this. I need to figure this out.
How long did it take you to get them proportionate to your head, to where your head is perfectly in the middle of the white space?
Like not as long because I took my Adderall medicine. So when I take that, it gets done so quickly. Yeah,
I know that to be true from experience.
Yeah, so it got done, but it was honestly the struggle was deciding between the Tiger Woods. I also have a McGregor when he won the 2 belts.
No,
I have a.
Oh, you should have did. You should have let
no,
McGregor.
Tiger Woods is the way to go.
Yeah, well, I already have UFC without Asanya, and then I was like, I have to have that Jordan one's awesome, and then I was like, I don't have to go with the Woods.
That's the right call.
Yeah. Also, McGregor has too many hot takes right now. He's got to.
He's also just a bad person, but
Yeah,
we'll
he's
talk
not a good guy. Yeah.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the fan upstate. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, and now making his triumphant return to the show because I was able to find a reason and excuse to get him back on the air. He is a producer, analyst, and all-around good taker haver for ESPN Chicago. Joining us now, back on the show, Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hating Ass Mario. What's up, dude?
What's up, beautiful? I mean, the mustache. I got to ask, was this your idea, Lonzo's idea, or the wife's idea? And
No,
who's the biggest fan?
It was my idea. The wife went out of town for a week. Your boy is in the midst of his it's not a midlife crisis. It's like an identity crisis.
Well, I mean, technically it's a midlife crisis because you talk about how long people.
I mean,
live,
fair,
so,
like I'm lucky to get to 80. So it is midlife, but like it's more identity crisis. She was gone for a week. I didn't know if she was going to hate it or not. I didn't know if I was going to hate it or not. So I decided to go for it while she was gone. And that was 2 weeks ago. And I still haven't committed to it yet. Like it's okay. You know,
it looks good. It's very full. That's good. There's nothing worse than
that's the problem. It just looks that way on camera. It's real bad.
Do you shave that middle part,
No.
or does it just
No,
doesn't?
it just
grow?
does that. It
Okay.
just does
All
it.
right.
That's the problem. If that would fill in, I have a white trash mustache. I have a mustache that says
He was wearing a plain white tee last week.
Yeah.
You missed it.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I have a mustache that says, like, I listen to Kid Rock in a cornfield mustache. Like, that's what I'm rolling with right now.
But that's good though. Like, so I have one of my brothers. I would say he was going through a midlife crisis, and he did the full stash and a really bad mullet, and he was wearing wife beaters 24/7. And he
No,
goes,
I'm not
I
that
think
bad.
wife beaters is a good look. I go, you
Yeah.
sure, buddy? You look like you
Yeah.
just.
That's commitment, right?
I'm
there.
not.
I was like,
I just bought a necklace. Like, that was pretty much
You
the
know
extent
what?
of it
You
for
know
me.
what? I just
I'm about to buy a
realized.
bracelet, so I kind of get that.
There you go. I realize Freddie Mercury vibes now.
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Will you?
I'll take
I
that.
don't
Could be
know.
way worse.
Mercury.
It's
Could be
a
way
sorry.
worse. Old Freddie.
Hating Ass Mario is here, ladies and gentlemen, because coming up tomorrow, the 1-3 Clemson Tigers are on the road in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And things are not exactly going the way that the hoodie and the gang had hoped they would go in Chapel Hill either. So this is a pair of teams, both with the opportunity ahead of them to either get right or just completely fix the image. Mario's here as a North Carolina guy to break this game down from the baby blue perspective. So let me start with the overall question. Hating Ass Mario, can North Carolina win this game?
Look, I think they can because Clemson's clearly falling off a cliff right now. And how much inspiration do these guys really have? Now more than ever we've seen in college football, players give up. or they're out there for themselves. They're thinking transfer portal. They're thinking, what's my next destination? Like, get me to NFL or give me a bigger bag. It's very hard now in this world, this NIL world, to keep your guys motivated if not really playing for something, especially when you have a program that has such high expectations as Clemson did going into the season. And they're supposed to be finally the year that Dabo shows everyone that the old school way is possible. All that being said, this North Carolina team is not a very talented team at all. This offense is very, very brutal. Their receivers are really bad at getting separation. They're not great at getting open. That was a worry going into this season. We had the one drive versus TCU, which I'm not going to lie, guys. After that first drive, Rob, I almost texted you, and I'll hand up. I texted probably like 10 people. I was thinking ACC championship. I was like, oh, dude, this team might be special. But then they came back down to earth. Can UNC win this game? Yes. Ultimately, do I think that's going to happen? I go, no. I think Clemson does pound UNC in this one. But there is a route. There is a way. We're going to find out pretty quickly how ready this Clemson team is and if they're still committed to that one goal of winning the ACC, of making it to the playoffs.
So Dabo said a couple of weeks ago, like, this team can't win a national championship. I think right now, based on what we're seeing out of Miami, if Florida State beats Clemson next weekend, same situation there. I don't know that an ACC championship is on the table for Clemson at this point. Like, it's a pride thing for this team now. It is a pride in the paw, pride in the program, whatever. That's all well and good. And the Clemson fans will have you believe, like, the players in this program think it's special. They love being here. It's all about it. And if you go talk to former Clemson players, they all have that same kind of attitude, mentality. That being said, Mario, do you feel like, from the North Carolina perspective, a team that it felt the last couple of years like right there on the edge of going from third tier to second tier, is the narrative amongst Carolina fans the same thing, that would have a team full of guys that go, okay, maybe we can't win an ACC title, but like, we can go beat Clemson. And even if it's a bad Clemson team, that still means something.
For sure. I think it's like, if it was flipped and it was basketball, right? You have a chance to beat North Carolina. When a coach at the end of the year, when you talk to your AD, you go, well, we beat North Carolina. And you hang your hat on that. That's exactly what this program at UNC has a chance to do, is go, hey, we beat Clemson. And doesn't matter how good they were, we still took them out, because they've struggled against Clemson too. Like, I think the last time they beat them, if I got this right, was in 2010 was the last time they beat Clemson. So that is a big stepping stone. And Belichick has been pretty honest in saying, like, yeah, like, this is going to be a process. Like, this wasn't going to be something that was overnight, and this program is going to be one of the best in the country. That wasn't going to happen here. Nor do I think really the expectation was there, as crazy that is to say. I always said, like, the ceiling for every UNC team is 4 losses. That is a great year. That is fantastic. I don't think there's expectation for anything beyond that. The floor is being less than 500. That's the floor of the program. But if I think they're looking at this game going, hey, if we beat Clemson, we can get people more excited about our football team. Bill's probably like, I can get more boosters behind us. I can get people to trust me. And Rob, I think the best part of this game, it's literally the old school NFL versus the old school college football of, like, the minds. That's, like, the most interesting part of this whole thing, even though they got bumped in times, and it went from a game everyone cares about to a game where people are probably taking a nap.
I think that's fair. Here is the question, and then I want to spend a minute or two on the X's and O's of what we will see happen on the field. Have people already jumped ship with Bill Belichick? Because the game against UCF, and again, it's not even the loss, it's how you lost that game, but then that picture started floating around of him on the sideline while the team's warming up, talking to Jordan, and that was the moment. Like, I told you coming into this year, I think it's going to be an abject failure, and I think it's going to end awful. But when that picture dropped, that's the moment that I was like, I think more people are on my side than not now.
There is a frustration, and that's not great. Anytime you're losing and then you have Jordan pop up and that whole saga kind of continues, it's going to get overhyped. It's going to get absolute exclamation points on top of it because you're not winning on the field. People are getting sick of it, but also, Rob, like, the expectations for Carolina football are so low. And the thing I always say repeatedly anytime I talk to someone and they're really against Bill Belichick or, like, was against the move as a whole, is even if you got the next Saban, even if you got the next Lane Kiffin, they're there for 2 years, maybe 3, and then they're gone. Poof. Off to the big SEC program, off to LSU, off to A&M, off to maybe a Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, and then they're gone. And you had your little fun, but you're probably not going to win again. So why not take a risk with this guy that's the greatest coach we've ever seen and let him go for a little bit? Yes, it's going to be rough. He's learning a new game. He's learning the college football. Keep letting him learn. I give him 2 years. Give him 2 to 3 years. I believe that's how long his contract is anyways. Then we get his nuts of a son that comes in and apparently is going to run the show. It's like, okay, let's sign this up again. But I still think give it time. I think Carolina fans are pretty patient in giving time. He doesn't have as short of a leash, I think, as like a Hubert Davis does right now in North Carolina.
That's fair. Talk to me about the quarterback situation. Gio Lopez came in. He got the start. It did not go the way that you wanted it to. Max Johnson, who, of course, had that gruesome injury last year, fortunately able to get back on the football field. He's gotten quite a few snaps. He's only thrown like 30 passes, but looks better as a passer than Max Johnson, which no shock. Like the thought was Gio Lopez was going to utilize the legs. Are we committed to Gio Lopez as the starter? Will Clemson fans see more Max Johnson? Are you guys moving towards a 2-quarterback system? What's the signal caller spot look like?
So I know Gio didn't practice at all during the bye week, and then he hasn't really practiced this week. Or if he has, it's just in like walkthroughs. Neither quarterback for North Carolina has thrown for over 160 passing yards yet this year. So that's always good when your QBs are just playing that well. I think it's going to be soon, at least, is going to be Max Johnson's job. He's just more experienced. I think he's a better quarterback. I actually trust him more in a game like this than Gio does, even though Gio is probably like a little bit more talented. But Max has just kind of been around the block. I don't think he's going to be as rattled facing a Clemson team. I think he's going to be able to handle the pressure a little bit more. I think after this game, when Gio's like a little bit healthier, they might have a dual 2 QB problem situation. And what Bill Belichick decides to do with that, we shall see. We've seen it in his past where he's very quick to move on from a guy, from the Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe to Mac Jones and Cam Newton, where we all thought it was Cam Newton going to the season. And next thing you know, Cam Newton's cut and Mac Jones is the official starter. So he moves quickly. If Max performs well in this game, I think you're going to see a new QB1 for the rest of the season, and Bill Belichick's not going to think twice about it.
All right, X's and O's perspective. We got about 60 seconds left. What does this game look like to you? What is the North Carolina angle of attack, and how does it finish?
So I think it's pretty simple. If you're North Carolina, you pressure Cade Klubnik, and then you keep him off the field. I think you try to establish the run as best as you can, and you just really drain the hell out of that clock. I think it's going to be a very, very low-scoring game. Both these offenses do not light up the scoreboard. I think currently Clemson's the worst scoring offense in the ACC right now, and then Carolina's like, hey, don't worry, we're close to you at 15th. So it's just not a pretty sight for both teams. But they're going to, I think, pressure Cade, keep that offense off the field, and just handle that pass rush and handle that front that Clemson has, and just slowly drip that thing away. Make this the Bill Belichick ugly-ass game that you can. Make it the game of Patriots versus Bills in that terrible, terrible weather where it was like 10-3, and we all wanted to, take a fork to our eyes, but we won the game. I think that's North Carolina's point attack in this one. That's how you kind of do it, and get that crowd back into you for North Carolina. Get that crowd going. Maybe start off like you did with TCU. Great first drive. And then after that, let's Bob Knight the game and do a little 4-corner football, baby. And just drain that clock.
Does the crowd show up for this? Or are they checked out?
They're pretty checked out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I've been to a Carolina football game. They're pretty checked out.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Hey, Naz Mario Herron. He works for ESPN Chicago. Kind enough to join us here on the program, brother. Good to have you back, big dog. Let's do some more radio things soon.
I would love to do more radio things, and just for the people, because I know you guys do the Fight Club, and it's Alex Pereira this weekend. Comes back, gets the belt, baby. Lock it in.
You're not the first person to say that. So
okay.
Ooh, are you also on, Alex?
Maybe.
You missed Fight Club. It was yesterday. Mario Herron from ESPN Chicago, buddy. Good to have you back, brother. We'll talk again soon.
Great to be back. First show with the background. So
it is. You almost look like an adult. Almost.
I'm trying to. As the sun is taking out my eye.
I mean, the facial hair. That's what you should do.
I have no room to make jokes right now.
No. Mario's facial hair His facial hair is hitting it.
Not
I
at
don't
all.
know what you're doing.
Yeah, yes, it is, Rob. Too bad. It's about to be
When
89.
we come back, Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Embarrassing effort from Carolina last week. How do they not do that again this week? That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Mario, appreciate you, big dog.
Thank you. Go Heels. Even though
Yes,
it's gonna
sir.
be
I'll
ugly.
catch up with you. I'll shoot you a text later on today, bud.
Okay.
All right, man. See ya. Rashad, you handsome devil. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
How you feeling, partner?
I'm good. I'm good.
Glad to hear it. How long did it take you to recover from last Sunday?
Quit pretty quick. I never let myself get too invested, man.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
I don't know. It's Wharton. It's Moten. It's not Moten. It's not Wharton. What is wrong with the Utes today and the inability to pronounce a name like that? It's a common thing. It's not just this guy. It just happens a lot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an old guy, but it just, I am not the best at enunciation.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but come on. I don't apologize for that mini rant.
Oh man. I tell you, boys, I'm ready to go back to bed and wake up for football.
Is there like
I'm
one
tired.
positive thing that happened Sunday with the Panthers? Anything positive?
No.
No.
Okay. That's just because I'm trying to think of one.
No.
No.
Stuck behind an entire middle school golf team on the course, and it doesn't look like that pancake JLIS. I would be done golfing for the day. I'd be heading back to the golf course, to the clubhouse, asking for my money back, and I'd be out.
It depends on the golf course too. I mean, if you're going to a place at a middle school, you're probably not paying a lot of money.
Don't care. If I'm getting stuck behind an entire middle school team, I'm out.
There we go. I mean, he's right. T-Mac is the guy. T-Mac is good.
If you can't get him the ball, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true.
He's good, but he ain't that good.
Maybe they should go to an option offense and they can just pitch it to him. Yes, last week he would have found a way to figure out how to mess up a pitch. But, they have had a worse season, though.
It's
well, you can't do worse than winless.
It's not about wins and loss. It's about wins and losses, but we're beyond that. We're beyond worse seasons. Like we've got to get something going here. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's Nicole time. That'll fix it.
To win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game.
Good advice. Good advice and very accurate. Speaking of losing games, joining us now on the radio program.
Wow.
Jeez,
You couldn't have got in there a little bit lighter, a little bit.
Come on.
Hey, let me put it this way. Rashad Beard, we bring up the Panthers. You in a good mood?
I'm fine. If we're talking about the Panthers, no, I'm not. But personally, I'm good.
Listen, I've gotten to hang out with Rashad Beard away from the radio station a couple times, and I can tell you, he is genuinely a cheerful, happy fella every single time I've spoken to him on and off the air. But I got to imagine last Sunday around, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, those pearly whites probably weren't getting a lot of flash time on the internet is what I'm saying.
I mean, you're right. But ultimately, I kind of figured I never let myself get too fooled by the Atlanta game. Right? The Atlanta game was great, 30-0. It was a needed W. But I never let myself fall into the trap because I need to see consistency. You know, we were a team that finished strong last year. We expected that same energy to come into this year, and we haven't seen it thus far. And so I never got too far ahead of myself to allow that W to kind of say, oh, we've got it done now. So I really was not surprised the way the Panthers came out and performed. It's kind of part of the course for the Panthers. And if any Panthers fan has been around for the past 8 years, this is not a surprise at all. So I'm actually okay. I'm okay.
So let's start with the obvious one. I said on Monday morning, the only word I had to describe that game was embarrassing. I saw that your reaction stream, you used the exact same word to describe that game. Man, I went back to pull the X's and O's of that game and try to hone in on, like, let's pick 2 or 3 things that went wrong. And this is not a great thing to say on the radio for the purposes of an engaging interview, Rashad Beard, but the answer I got to the question of what went wrong was pretty much damn near everything.
Yeah, everything went wrong. I think, and what makes it even more frustrating is that we started the game so well. The offense came out firing on all cylinders. They had a 76-yard drive, 4 minutes. I mean, Bryce was cooking. It looked great. I thought we were going to really railroad the Patriots. And then we missed the extra point, and after that, it just went downhill from there. Special teams, we've been pretty solid on special teams all season long, and we allow these 2 punt returns, or 1 punt return for a touchdown, then another long punt return. And, it's just, you can't win like that. And it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another for the Panthers. We've only seen 1 game of consistent, complimentary football, and that was with the Atlanta Falcons. And until we see that on a consistent basis, this Panthers team will lose way more games than they win. And that's just bottom line.
So I hate to go with another kind of broad, open-ended question, but if we can't find consistency on this football team, which you're right, we haven't, and I'm not just talking game to game, I think at spots you could say it's drive to drive consistency for this football team. The question then becomes why? And obviously, like, the obvious answer is, well, the buck stops at the top with Dave Canales. And I agree with that. In fact, I said on Monday, I think my goodwill for Dave Canales is exhausted. I don't think I have any more of that, like, I like the guy, give him, like, I need to see something here, and I've seen nothing. What is preventing that consistency in game and from game to game that we did see for 4, 5, 6 weeks last year and now just doesn't exist?
It's such a loaded question that I don't know who to blame. Of course, we've had injuries. You've had, Robert Hunt go down, which is a big part of offensive line. You're missing Xavier Legette. You're missing Jalen Coker. So you can say injuries are a factor, sure. You can say that Bryce Young is missing guys that are open in the play calls. You can blame the play calls. You can blame a lot of different things, but ultimately, it really doesn't matter. I mean, somebody, we have to find a way to get this thing figured out. And it appears, and I hate to go down this path, but it really appears that the marriage between Bryce Young and Dave Canales is not working out. We need marriage counseling. We need therapy. Something needs to happen between those two because it's not working, right? I don't know what's going on. One would say that, Canales doesn't trust Bryce Young. Bryce Young would say, hey, he's not calling the right plays. There's something missing here. And so we need to get it figured out. We cannot sit up here and blame the talent all the time. We've got enough talent on this. I'm tired of hearing about, oh, he needs more talent. He needs more talent. You got T-Mac running wide open. You got to hit him. I mean, stop it with the excuses with talent. So I'm tired of all the excuses about what's going wrong. Let's just fix it. Let's get it right.
I think that's fair. And I saw, to throw this at you predominantly because I'm curious to your reaction to it. I saw some people going back and forth about it, a couple of Panther fans on Twitter on Monday. And the argument was, the belief is that Canales and Idzik, in the way that they're calling plays, maybe it's not about a trust of Bryce Young. it's a lack of trust in the offensive line. And obviously, like you mentioned, you've got a couple of injuries. Now you've got even more injuries that you've got to deal with across the OL. It was a lack of trust in the OL that is limiting diving into the same open playbook of pass plays that you saw in the second half of last season. But then the other guy was like, no, it's Bryce Young. Like, they don't trust the kid to stand in the pocket, make the throws. We've seen him stand in the pocket, make the throws, but we've also seen the offensive line have a good day blocking like you did in Atlanta. I got to be honest, dude. Like, I claim to know ball, but brother, I'm lost.
Yeah, Rob, listen, we're missing one guy from the offensive line. I mean, let's keep it a buck. I mean, we lost Corbett, but guess who was starting during the 5-game streak of the end of the year last year? It was Cade Mays. So Cade Mays is a more than a capable starter. So I don't count him as a loss. He is actually an upgrade, to be honest. So the only injury on the offensive line is Robert Hunt. It's a big one. But if we can't sustain off of one injury, then we've got some serious issues. And that's where I get into, we gotta get this thing figured out. We've got to stop it with the excuses. And so there's blame to go across the board. I don't know what it is, whether it's Bryce Young, whether it's Canales. I don't really care who. I just need to get it fixed. Like, we need to get these problems solved. And somebody needs to look in the mirror, or somebody needs to go. Whether it's both of them, one of them, somebody needs to go unless this thing doesn't get turned around. We saw it. That's the frustrating part, Rob, is that we saw it at the end of the season last year. The guys were playing well. That's what makes it really frustrating. It was fixed. He was benched after he came back. It was great. And we're right back to where we were last year prior to the benching. So I don't know what it is. We got to get it fixed, man. We got to get it fixed.
I don't disagree. So the take I had Monday was, I am at the point where the goodwill with Dave Canales is worn off, because it's not just that it was a follow from last year. It's that there's no consistency game to game. I heard him in his post-game press conference where he came out and every answer was, it's on me, right? And I for what it's worth, I appreciate that. Like, you're even if it's fraudulent, like, you're taking the accountability. I got to figure out what makes these guys click. I got to figure out how to prepare them better. But then I heard Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, and 2 or 3 other guys that all kind of had a similar comment of, we have claimed to be a player-led team, and we don't really have any player leaders right now. JC said, like, Dave's going to say that because he's the head coach. He's got to, but this is on us. We can't just have a great week of practice and forget to show the hell up on Sunday. Derek Brown said specifically, if we're going to be a player-led team, we need players to get up and lead. I think that is kind of a takeaway for me, Rashad, is that as I'm watching this game last Sunday, that had a great start before a nuclear explosion catastrophe, I didn't see anybody grabbing face masks, slapping shoulder pads. I didn't see Bryce Young directing the offense. I didn't see the offensive line talking to each other. I didn't see Chuba Hubbard directing the O-line. On defense, which is usually where you have the most vocal leaders, I didn't see anything. And I think that the big fear that I have, Rashad Beard, is that the team has checked out. And if that is the case, then Dave Canales is a dead man walking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and Rob, I'm tired of the words, right? We hear the same thing after every big loss. Oh, it's on me from the coach. Oh, it's on us as players. Oh, blah, bro, we're tired of that. We're beyond what we've been listening to that for 8 years. Like, we're tired of that. There was a time when we had Cam Newton here where we were fighting. When guys weren't doing their jobs, people were getting checked, right? That's what we need. We need real leaders, that somebody's going to step up. We have too many nice guys. Our quarterback is a nice guy. Our Derek Brown, I love Derek Brown as a player, but he's not a vocal guy. J.C. Horn, cool. We need somebody that's going to really step up and take ownership, right? There's nobody here that's going to just say, hey, the onus is on me. I'm going to step up. I'm going to be a leader. I'm not going to allow this team to fail. That's what Cam Newton did. That's why people love Cam Newton, because he would not let this team fail. He was tired of seeing all the jerseys in the stands, right? All the other opposing teams' jerseys in the stands. He was tired of seeing that. He took ownership. We don't have anybody on the roster doing that on either side of the football. We had TD on the defensive side of the football. Luke was a leader that showed by example. We don't have any of those guys. Everybody's collecting checks. And that's just the honest truth. That's the blunt, honest truth. Nobody is taking ownership. And it's sickening, to be honest.
All right. This is around the time where changes are made to save jobs. So assistant coach, which is the first assistant coach they fired to supposedly fix this?
No, I mean, no, listen, there's nobody's gonna get fired, and this is gonna get fixed overnight. I mean, obviously,
I agree,
Yeah.
but this is usually the pattern that they follow.
Yeah, you're right. It is, and I think to be honest, if you're gonna scapegoat fire anybody, I mean, yeah, you could fire an assistant wide receivers coach or assistant coach or something like that, but I don't think that really is gonna change anything.
Strength and conditioning is usually the way to go.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like it really doesn't matter, right? But I do think there will be. If we continue to lose, somebody's going to get fired. They're going to, have a scapegoat fire, which is not going to change anything. Ultimately, there needs to be changes made from the top down if they cannot get this fixed. I do like Canales as a coach. I do think Bryce is capable. They just need to figure it out. I don't know what it is. They need to figure it out. Long term, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Zoe. I don't know what they're going to do.
The frustrating thing I think about this team, Rashad Beard, is that usually when you and I get together and we have these conversations, you bring up stuff that I go, damn, it's a good point. I like that. Occasionally, once in a blue moon, I'll say something that you go, good take, Rob Brown. Like, it's rare. I get it, but it happens. The frustrating thing is we can sit here on this radio for the 12 minutes we've been doing this so far, and it is just a whole bunch of, I don't know, man. So are we going to see the step in t-shirts out of the PNP this year?
Man. So I don't know, man. People have been calling for it. People have been calling for the March on Mint. And I'm kind of like, I don't even know if I want to give it that energy, man. Like it's like, I don't know. I don't even know, because we've been so bad under Tepper, like unless he's gone, I really don't see anything really changing, to be honest with you. And you can't get rid of an owner. So like, I don't know what's going to happen, man. He and I give him his credit. He has been out of the limelight. They did get a little video of him marching out of the stadium, looking pretty perturbed. But he hasn't done much. But I'm sure his influence is in the building day to day. And so, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of like almost checked out along with the team as well, just to be honest.
No, listen, it's fair. I get it. Like, that is part of being a fan. Do you think you're in a spot? I guess this is a long-term question, and then we'll let you get back to your real life. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. Do you feel like you guys are in a spot where, as long as Tepper is here, you can't do anything? There's a lot of teams like that, Dallas Cowboys. Like, do you feel like you're in that spot?
It feels like it. It certainly feels like it. I thought he made some good moves. It's just not translating, right? I thought this offseason was setting us up for success. I think everything that we've done, all the players that we brought in, even the draft class, I thought it all aligned to us being successful. So I can't say that, he's done some terrible things that just, from a field standpoint, just, are taking us in the wrong direction. But it's something is not right. And we just can't put our finger on it. I don't know what it is, but I felt like we were heading in the right direction. It's just not working out. And ultimately, there's one common denominator, and that's David Tepper. And until we see some things change on the field and get some W's, that's where I'm at.
I think it's fair. Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go follow them on the YouTube channel, Panther Nation podcast. Make sure you subscribe. You turn the bell notification on, because I'm assuming for at least one more week, you're going to keep the pod going before you just blow the whole thing up.
No. We're going to keep it going, man. The pod is going to be the pod. Everybody's been asking me. We did have another pod that decided to retire, and I don't blame them, just because the product on the field has been awful. But we're going to stick around. Yeah.
Wow. So the team is so bad, we're done.
It's that bad. Yeah. I'm serious. There's another podcast out there that hung it up and said they don't have the time or energy to support this team anymore. And so I don't blame them one bit, but PNP is going to stick around. We've been through the worst of the worst, and so we're going to hang around and hopefully see it get better.
I love it. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast. My man, good to talk to you, brother. We'll do it again next week, and hopefully it'll be better. Hopefully.
Keep pounding, I guess. That's all we can do is keep pounding.
It's so bad we didn't even talk about the damn game this week. Like, that's how bad it is right now. That's bad, rough.
Man. No expectations. No expectations. That's all I can do.
I appreciate it. See you, big dog. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast. When we come back, Kevin and John and Jarrell, some combination of the three.
Okay, because you made it sound definite, like all three were going to be here, and now you're.
Yeah, because I started with Kevin, but then I just realized that it was John and Jarrell, so I'm going to assume it's John and Jarrell and no Kev today, but we'll find out. Actually, Kevin was here by himself this week. I bet he was like, "Screw you guys, you do it. I've had enough Rob Brown. We'll find out who joins us to set up your Friday Night Lights when we come back. Denton Day talks college football after that. We make our picks and predictions to wrap up the show after that. Sports Flash, Schlitter now.
So weird. By the way, people who are still watching, if you're still watching, I have a computer screen. It's elevated. I'm not looking at the ceiling. I'm working. You know who did not work last night? That would be Brock Purdy. It took overtime, but the San Francisco 49ers knocked off the LA Rams 26-23. The Niners ran for only 74 yards, but backup quarterback Mac Jones, who did work, completed 33 of 49 passes for 342 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Rams quarterback Matt Stafford had 389 passing yards and all 3 touchdowns in the loss. The Rams were stuffed on 4th down in overtime to end the game. That was Rob's words, not mine. The Detroit Tigers eliminated the Cleveland Guardians with a 6-3 win yesterday. Tigers had 10 hits, including a homer from Dylan Dingler in the 6th and a trio of RBI singles in the 7th. And the Chicago Cubs ended the Padres season with a 3-1 win in Game 3. And the Yankees shut out the Red Sox 4-0. I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe, was with San Francisco for a while, and that didn't work. So, by the way, it was a joke. Turf toe it's a real thing, and it looks really painful. Never had turf toe. I've had bruises that were close to it. But yeah, I'm not making light of the Brock Purdy injury. But what an advantage it is that Mac Jones was able to get in there and do what he's doing. My point was with Jimmy Garoppolo is that not anyone can get in there. You got to have a certain mindset to run that offense, and it looks like Mac Jones is able to do that. That's all. I'm not backtracking because I think Brock Purdy's going to show up and beat me up. He could try, probably succeed. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know if that would be a good trophy to put on your show. It's pretty bad when Rob Brown, who has been the biggest Bryce defender, is not defending him anymore. I mean, to the point where it's like, dude, what are you doing? I can't believe you're still defending him. Bryce ain't the guy. He's just not. And I'm not sure CJ would have done any more, done any better. And I love CJ. I will also say if Rob Brown got turf toe, he would not be here right now. The toe.
The fellas have arrived. What's up, boys?
What's going on?
How's it going, Rob? Lonzo, how are y'all?
We are awesome.
We get paid to talk about football, babe. How bad could we be?
Sounds like a sweet gig to me.
Yeah, if you can get it.
Yeah, we talk about football for free.
For now.
For the love of the
We don't know
game.
what we're talking about.
For the love of the game.
That's what we do.
Monetization is always a possibility. I mean, you keep working on it.
We're getting there.
Get Kevin off his lazy ass. Go sell some sponsorships.
There you go. Wherever
Got
he
Lil's
may
on a
be.
vacation.
Taking a vacation. It's Friday. It's Friday Night Football. You don't take vacation in football season. What are we doing?
Kevin's got to hit the links. You know how that is.
It's not a hobby.
God, it's. I nailed.
That counts, by the way.
I know.
That counts.
I know. Here's the best part. I turned it on, dropped maybe the best, thank God I've dropped yet, and then turned it back off, and then just missed it to turn it back on. That is a hell of a way to lose the week. Hell of a way to lose the week.
We got an hour. I could
do.
mess up in an hour.
Plenty
That's
of time.
possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show back on the radio. The football fiesta underway for the next 59-ish minutes of radio electricity. Now, it is time because it is Friday. And if it is Friday around the upstate of South Carolina, you know it is Friday Night Lights time. High school football taking place all around the upstate. Week 6 kicks off this evening, and to talk about it, joining us now, as they do every Friday in some combination of talent and good looks, from the Movin the Chains podcast, which you can find online at movinchains.com, movinchains.com. Find them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Movin Chains, and of course the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, wherever major podcasts are found, because they are major dudes. How about John Epps and Jarrell Hendricks showing up? Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great.
Hey, that'd be better if the lighting in my apartment was any better. I mean, it looks like I got strobes going off in the background. But
I know. When the music was going, it was kicking. It was like that.
It's like
so far
in your apartment.
So far, Jarrell has joined us from the break room at his office, a hotel room that looked remarkably like a grandmother's basement in the 70s, and now a combination apartment discotheque.
Hey, I do it for the people. Love it. I'm going to be here, no matter what. So
I just want to say, people watching at home, if you see a face or something pop up in there, let us know so Jarrell can get out of there.
Please. Halloween's approaching.
The Movin the Chains fellas here. Let's get set up for a little high school ball, boys and Jarrell. We will, as we always do, kick it off with a game that you will hear with the soothing and, dare I say, seductive tones of the voice of the Burns Rebels, Cole Bryson. This evening, the Burns Rebels on the road, Jarrell, at Riverside High School.
Yeah, Burns looking for a big bounce back. They had a letdown last week. Really had a chance against Dorman early in that game. Fought back in that first quarter, and I thought it was going to be a barn burner, but really Dorman just put the vice grips on these guys for the rest of the game. There was a big play by Chew Harris, but that was it for the most part for the Burns offense in the last 3 quarters of that one. So they got another opportunity this week against Riverside. I think they're going to win this one easily. This Riverside bunch has not been as good as we expected them to be coming into the season, just not able to get it done on defense. So I think this is a real opportunity in a get-right game, especially for quarterback Kane Rogers over there on the Burns side. We know about the playmakers. We talk about them every week in Fuller and Segura. They're going to do great things on offense, going to make big plays in the special teams. But this is a good spot for get right. Opportunity to maybe win a region championship. Might have slipped last week with Burns because that Dorman side that we saw was really, really good. And I don't anticipate them dropping much down the stretch here. I want to give a shout out to Justice Hopkins. Got selected to the Shrine Bowl this week. But I think this is a bigger game for Burns than Riverside. And I think Burns should be able to win it by a couple scores.
What is the bounce back strategy for Burns this week? Like, what's the lean after what we saw last week?
I think really the big thing is getting right offensively. It just seems like I've seen them play this year. It just seems like there's just a lack of consistency from this bunch, especially, in the passing game. It seems like they really have to rely on big plays to get things going, just making sure they have consistency there. I think the defense is pretty good. They give up big plays as well from time to time. We saw that early in the game with Nick Means, a big 80-yard run there. But I think the biggest thing for Burns is really getting that offense more consistent.
Without a doubt. All right, let's kick it to a few more games. John Epps, St. Joseph's is at Christ Church this evening.
Yeah, this is a very close quarters matchup with 2 Greenville schools going at it. Both teams have been bumped up to 3A, so the level has been a little bit tougher for them the last 2 years. But both of them have done a very good job of gaining their footing. Really like what Christ Church has done this year. Their only loss was that first game of the year against a private school powerhouse in Hammond. Since then, they've taken care of business, and they beat a really good Hampton County team their last game out. On the other end of the page, St. Joseph's, they're 3-2. They've played pretty well, and their only losses are to a really good Mountain View team and then a much bigger school in Fountain Inn 2 weeks ago. So they're coming off a week of rest. This game will be at Christ Church High School. I think Christ Church is a little bit better, but this is a really exciting region game with some rivalry implications too. You know, these schools are, you Greenville folks know, they're right next to one another. This will have a little juice to it. Big time region game for playoff implications too. I like Christ Church. I think they're a little bit better. They're a good football team right now.
I like that. Jarrell Hendricks, take me to Blue Ridge at Seneca.
Man, this Tigers bunch of Blue Ridge has been very impressive this year, especially on offense. They had a huge win over Landrum last week, winning that one 62-28. I cannot be more impressed with quarterback Gavin Forrester for that Blue Ridge bunch. Had 6 touchdowns last week. I think he was the Fan Upstate Player of the Week this past week. So he's getting it done. He's leading them both in passing and rushing. Ja'Cory Dodd for Blue Ridge is a really dynamic playmaker, but really excited to see what they can do tonight against Seneca. Seneca had a huge letdown last week, playing rival Daniel there, a team they hadn't beaten since 2017. Really had an opportunity to kind of take charge of the region and let it slip away. They were up 10 points, double digits late in that ball game, ended up losing 27-16. So I think you see it's going to be an interesting matchup because you see Blue Ridge is a program on the rise. Can they get over the hump? And Seneca, also a program that's looking to be upper echelon there, but just cannot slay that Daniel Lions Dragon. So how do they bounce back this week after a crushing defeat? Should be an interesting one. I think Seneca is a little bit better at this point in the season, but I expect a tight ball game here.
Without a doubt. All right, let's move it on down, John Epps, to TL Hanna at Hillcrest.
Yeah, this is an interesting game here. You talk about a team that has been living on the edge. That is the TL Hanna Yellow Jackets. They were sweating last week, got an overtime win against Malden. Week before that, took down a really, really good Greenwood team. So TL Hanna, they've got what it takes to win some big games. Hillcrest, they fell to that same Greenwood team last week in a game where they just wouldn't go away. Greenwood looked like the better team the entire night, but Hillcrest kept fighting. Good quarterback in Jackson Free. He's only an 11th grader. He's got a good arm, pretty smart player back there, and good defensive line for Hillcrest. I think that's going to be a big thing to watch in this game. TL Hanna, big on the line of scrimmage. They like to run the ball. This will be a really good matchup over at Chandler Stadium in Simpsonville. Usually decides the region. With as good as Greenville is this year, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but certainly, again, another big game for playoff implications. I like Hillcrest in this game. I think they find a way to win this one. They've got to just make sure they don't allow the big plays from TL Hanna like they did last week against Greenwood. I think this will be a great ball game. Should be really close. I'm leaning Hillcrest on this one, though.
Let's talk about a few more going on. Let's go to Liberty at Clinton with a T in it.
Clinton. It is Clinton, the battle of the Red Devils here. Liberty, sneaky good team, but I think Clinton's going to be a little bit too much. This is a game, though, that I picked potential upset spot. I think this Liberty team is that much improved. I do like Clinton to win it, though, but it should be a fantastic football game. Clinton's starting to hit their stride. They always do because they play a gauntlet in the non-region, but I like the Red Devils in this one.
The Red Devils.
Overemphasized and defiant in not using the T.
Oh, he's standing on business with that one. You can hear it. He's standing on business with the T in Clinton, or lack thereof, I guess. Hey,
that's how they do it there.
I mean, listen, they can say whatever they want. There's a T. I can read it. It's right here in the name. You sent it in the email. It says T right there. Gaffney's at Eastside, boys.
Tell you, this is an Eastside team that's playing some pretty good football right now. Gaffney, on the other hand, they had some controversy, not necessarily controversy, but couldn't decide who they wanted to play at quarterback. That has been decided now. They've got one quarterback that Javon Gilmore has decided to lead the program. Bhutan's now the quarterback. If I'm saying that right, Bhutan, he's a good player as well. I think it's actually settled this Gaffney program down just a little bit. This should be a good game, but Gaffney, not the start that they wanted this year, but they're undefeated in region play. I think they keep it undefeated tonight. I think it'll be a good game. We'll learn a lot about Eastside in this game as well. But I like the Indians to keep that undefeated ledger alive in region play.
All right, let's get to Dorman at Boiling Springs.
Man, couldn't be more impressed. We talked about them earlier. They had a huge win last week against Burns. Coach Morris's bunch, I think this is year 3 for him. He's really got these guys playing well on both sides of the ball, and also getting it done in special teams. Boiling Springs is just a solid program, but I think this Cavs bunch continues to roll in this ball game, and it's really going to set up for a big time showdown later in the year with Gaffney.
I like it. We'll wrap it up, boys, with Greenwood at Malden.
I'll tell you what, if you are a Gamecock fan, check out this Greenwood team because Tristan Lewis, that guy is awesome. He's a great quarterback, pretty good punter of the football as well. He does a little bit of everything for the Eagles. They are also playing a lot of close games lately, and Malden has been showing a lot of fight. Malden is a team that good teams like Greenwood will circle on the schedule and say, hey, here's a team where we can let all the kids play. Not the case this year. The Mavericks have got some fight in them. I think this could be potentially a pretty close game. But I look at the best player on the football field, and that's Lewis with Greenwood. I think Greenwood takes care of business tonight. I expect them to win by 10 or more, but should be a pretty fun game over in Malden.
John Epps, do your Clemson Tigers get it right against the North Carolina Tar Heels this weekend?
I don't know if we're going to get it right this year, brother. I think we are all out of sorts, but I like us to get a win Saturday up in Chapel Hill. I think we're not very good. They're worse.
We have gone back and forth, and so I will ask you the question that we have asked our listeners this lovely morning, John Epps. What's this show sound like Monday if North Carolina does steal a dub?
I think we got to talk about some personnel changes on the staff. I think
how high of a level of personnel changes?
I think potentially at a coordinator level.
Okay.
Depending on how the offense looks. If you go to Chapel Hill and you get beat 24-3, that's a tough look, you know. But I think that's a stretch, but I think it's more so at the position level. I think that's where we've got a gap that we need to close. Hopefully it's in the off season. It's always tough to get the band hammer in the middle of the season. That doesn't help anybody very well. But I think Clemson does win this game. I still trust Dabo. I think we'll see some fight out of this team at some point in time during the year. We all hoped it was last week. It was not, or 2 weeks ago, rather. Was not the Syracuse game, but still have some faith. We'll see what happens Saturday.
Hey, Drew Hendricks, congrats on that big Dallas tie last weekend, buddy. That was good.
Hey, what a game that was. Highest scoring tie in NFL history. I mean, hey, worked for me, fantasy. I was down big. I had George Pickens come through for me in the clutch right there, squeaked out a win. So I love the extra time. Love to see GP get off there.
Like to hear it. Boys, thanks for pulling up. Glad to have you. Tell Kevin to actually do some work one day.
Maybe next week. We'll see him.
Yeah,
maybe
next week.
Maybe. Drew, I'll go change your light bulb.
I don't know what's going on. I'll see you guys from a different location next week.
Probably at this point. It's just the tour de force. John Epps, Jarrell Hendricks. You can find them, again, the Movin the Chains podcast at movinchains.com. Same name across the social media and wherever major podcasts are found. When we come back, Sirius XM college football overtime host Denton Day joins us here on the show. We'll get his thoughts on the college football week upcoming. We'll see if he agrees with John that personnel changes might be necessary, depending on what happens with the Tigers. Denton Day next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Nice job, fellas. It's like y'all are good at this.
We try. If I could just get my computer to work, that'd be awesome.
You look like You know what this looks like? It looks like the beginning scene of like a natural disaster movie where like the guy's in his kitchen streaming when stuff starts going wrong, right? And that's how they set up the
It
scene.
looks more like Paranormal Activity to me.
I'm nervous, but thanks for letting me know that nobody came to stab me in the back of the neck.
So far, so good, buddy. So
the
far, so
hurricane's
good.
on top of them, and the spirits are knocking at the door.
Thanks, guys.
Boys, appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.
Y'all have a good one. See ya.
What's up, you handsome son of a gun?
So she liked it.
No, she just didn't hate it enough for me to like fear shave it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a win. A win is a win.
Yeah, it was. She came home for one day. She was like, not enough time. She came home the second day. She's like, I honestly think I might. I'll tell you this, and then I'll let you decide where I'm at, Denton Day. She came home the second time. Her sister either likes it or knows that she hates it and keeps telling me to keep it for that reason. The brother-in-law, who was a dear friend of mine, immediately went and shaved his beard. So now we are both mustachioed. And now her sister doesn't like him having the beard or having the mustache. So we've decided that when we do Thanksgiving this year at her family's, we're both going to show up to Thanksgiving mustached. So we're like up in the air on that. But 2 days ago, I had a kind of a big deal meeting that I had to go to. And I was like, I think I'm going to save the mustache off because while it's like fun, cool, I don't think anybody is going to take me seriously that I need to take me seriously Denton Day with this vibe going on. So I think I'm going to shave the stash. And she goes, I think I've gotten to where I would prefer the mustache to totally clean shaven, but I'd rather the beard come back out. So like
for win.
It's not a loss, you
Yeah,
know.
it's
It's kind of like
definitely not a
house.
loss.
It's
At the
tie,
very
and
least, it's a
sometimes you got to
push.
play for a tie.
Yeah.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the fan upstate Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo, and now joining us in his all new time slot. Kind enough because A, Fridays are way more exciting to talk about college football than Wednesdays are, and B, is busy on Wednesdays. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Sirius XM's College Football Overtime and a host and producer on the BetMGM Network, the legendary, the iconic Denton Day. Join us back on the program. Sup, dude?
What's up, my mustached friend? I'm glad you're keeping it around. You kept it a lot longer than I did. Not that I convinced you to shave in the mustache, but I will take at least like 2% credit for the mustache. So I'm proud that you're keeping it as long as you have.
No, you were absolutely like an Instagram level influencer. When you showed up that day, I was like, you know what? I was already thinking about it YOLO. And then when I went down to the mustache, I'm like, well, if I don't at least test drive it, Denton Day is going to be very upset. So
you look great.
I have to ask a question real quick. That's not a Michigan hat, right? That looks like a Majin hat.
Yeah, this is a Majin hat.
Okay. I'm okay with the Majin hat. And if you don't know what that is, well,
you're not a big enough nerd for Alonzo.
I mean, it matches the Majin Vegeta tattoo.
Yeah. So. Okay, I was just making sure because if it was Michigan hat, I would have to avert my eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the nerds are taking over the world, whether you like it or not.
That's true.
What do you mean taking over? It's already done.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey, Denton Day. What does my show sound like Monday if North Carolina beats Clemson?
Oh, God. It'd be a lot of fun for you. Yeah, I don't know if it'd be fun for Clemson fans, but it would be a lot of fun for you. I would assume there would be a lot of puns, a lot of metaphors about Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson. Probably a lot of memes on social media. Are you a Reddit guy? If you use Reddit, you'd probably have a lot of Jordan Hudson memes on Reddit. I don't think you'll have to cross that bridge, but it would that might be a Hall of Fame level show for Rob Brown if Clemson loses to North Carolina.
So then let me ask you the next question. Can Clemson lose to North Carolina?
No, they can't. North Carolina's quarterback situation's awful. Yeah, Bill Belichick should have known better. He is still searching for a guy. He didn't have a guy after Tom Brady left in the NFL. Had one for a little bit and then decided to hire his best friend who didn't coach offense to coach offense and completely squandered Mac Jones. He looked good last night. He just hasn't been good with the quarterback situation in all levels of football since losing Tom Brady, and this is no different. They went with a guy that they tried to pull up, and they should have went with Brad Johnson's kid, but is Brad Johnson's kid really all that good? Because he's like school number 6 for him, it feels like at this point. I mean, he's UNC's Perry Ellis, the way that he's been in college for forever, so they just haven't gotten the quarterback situation right.
I think it is. I think it's abundantly fair. My prediction was this Belichick hire is going to end in abject failure, disaster, and potential hilarity when it's all said and done. And we're well down that path. Denton Day from College Football Sirius XM, College Football Overtime on Sirius XM, joining us here on the show. They are on the bye this week, Denton Day, but South Carolina back-to-back L's against Vandy and Mizzou. But then they do get the win over Kentucky. And I do think this is Mark Stoops' worst team since he's been at Kentucky. So it's kind of one of those spots where I want to go, all right, it's a good win. I probably wouldn't blow it out of proportion like you won the SEC, but on the flip side, sometimes these get-right games, as it will be for Clemson, are important. South Carolina took advantage of theirs. What do they need to do, dial in on, focus in on the bye week to give themselves a chance to go to the Baton Rouge at Death Valley and beat LSU and rejuvenate the good vibes, bro?
I would just, if you want to beat LSU, it's very clear, Rob, get after the quarterback. And it's not very difficult either. Like if you remember watching that Ole Miss game last week, in the second half, they were getting pressure with 3 guys. They were winning a 3-on-5 matchup on the offensive line, defensive line. So if you could just really hone in on your pass rush, you're going to be able to get to Garrett Nussmeier. They can't run the football. And if you can get to the quarterback and they can't run the football, you're going to be in a really, really good place. So they got to hone in on the pass rush. It's going to be tough to score on LSU. Even Ole Miss, who I think is a really good offensive team, couldn't put up a ton of points against LSU. So you're going to have to capitalize off of your opportunities, not turn the football over, not get into silly penalties. But really, if you want to beat LSU, if you're looking just at LSU, just get after the passer, and you're going to be in a really good spot.
So where are you? My take was this team needs to utilize Lenora Sellers more as the overall weapon that he is. This is a team that in those 2 losses, it almost looked like they were trying to turn him into a pocket passing quarterback. And that's just dumb. Not just because he has the ability to get outside, but because that's just not what he is. It feels to me like if this team starts to utilize him as the weapon that he is on the move, like they did against Kentucky, they can be the team we thought they were because they didn't do it in those 2 losses.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I don't know if that was a decision that was made this offseason to, help him get NFL ready, but I don't even think just being a pocket passer is NFL ready anymore. Like you have to be good with your legs. You got to be a threat to the defense. And particularly for the LSU game, what was the one thing that Trinidad Chambliss could do that no other quarterback who LSU would play? I mean, Kate Klubnik could, but didn't. He could run. And when you put an extra element of stress on that LSU defense, a defense that looked really good through the first 4 weeks, looked a lot more human against Ole Miss. And, Lenore Sellers has the same capability of doing some of the things that Trinidad Chambliss did to LSU when they square off. So I'm with you. You have to utilize his legs. It's not a bad thing that your quarterback can move. I don't understand why sometimes coaches are fearful of it. If your quarterback can move, utilize that. It's going to help you win football games.
Completely agreed. Real quick, and then I want to turn and talk about some of the games this weekend. The commissioner of the athletic conference said in an interview yesterday that we either need to do away with or we need to modernize the way that we do preseason selections in the new era of college football, because you're asking the media, his words, not mine, to effectively gamble with their picks on a bunch of teams that we don't have enough information to accurately put them in an order. And obviously the order we put them in week 1 will impact where they are in 2 and 3 and 4, and therefore all the way to the playoff rankings. I understand we've had this conversation that preseason rankings are put in place because it makes those week 1 games like Clemson LSU look a hell of a lot sexier to the TV ratings. Where do you fall on that after seeing some of the interesting rankings we've seen based on the week 1 rankings?
So preseason rankings, I've always taken with a grain of salt. I do think there's a point in that they drastically impact the way that we view certain teams from the jump, which sometimes is unfair to certain teams. Sometimes it's really fair to other teams. My question is, what is the better option? And how many teams over the course of an entire season really have been getting screwed, especially now with the 12-team playoff, which has only been 1 year. But how many teams are really getting screwed because they weren't ranked super high at the beginning of the season? I don't think that number is very many. I think there's some teams that get the benefit of the doubt, and I think all of them play in the SEC for the most part. But I don't know how many teams have really gotten screwed because they were ranked 24th when maybe they should have been like 18th to start the season. And that just drastically, look, if you're going to win football games, you're going to end up climbing the rankings. It really is pretty simple. So unless they had a better option, a better solution, I don't know how you fix it. It's never going to be perfect, but I've never asked college football for perfection. I've just asked it for entertainment, and it usually comes through with that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I would like to ask you, Denton Day, after they go on the road to Happy Valley and knock off the Penn State Nittany Lions in the whiteout game, was that game more Oregon with Dante Moore is a championship caliber team that maybe we slept on a bit and Dan Lanning's a dog, or was that more James Franklin loses another big important game?
It was much more Oregon, because we didn't know. That was the question mark. Entering that game, we knew what James Franklin was. We knew what Drew Aller was. You hoped that maybe there would be some sort of change if you were a fan of Penn State, but you already knew what those two in particular were. I had no idea what Dante Moore was against legitimate competition in a really tough place to play, and he completely showed out. And, Dan Lanning has long been one of my favorite coaches. Rob, I think I've told you the story before. If I haven't, I met him when I went to cover the bowl game a couple years ago with Oregon against Liberty. I got paid to be out there. Shout out to Sirius XM. But I wanted to go see my alma mater play in a New Year's Six game because I went to Liberty, and I left that weekend falling more in love with Dan Lanning than I did my own head coach. I love Jamie Chadwell. That's not a knock on him. But I talked to Dan Lanning, and I was like, this is like the perfect college football coach. I would run through a wall for this guy. So he's been long one of my favorite coaches. It's just nice to start see him stacking wins in really tough environments, because there was a little bit of a feeling after, not last year, but remember 2 years ago when they had Bo Nix and they were big favorites, not once, but twice against Washington. Well, small favorites the first time. They were 3.5 point favorites the first game. And then they were like 9.5, 8.5, 9.5 point favorites in the Pac-12 championship game in the rematch. And they lost both of those games. So the question was, can you win big games? I'm glad that he has proven that he can. And Dante Moore looks the part, man. And that's something that needs to be celebrated in this game. He could have transferred out of Oregon. He decided, I want to sit there. Like, I transferred into Oregon knowing that I'm going to sit behind Dylan Gabriel for a year so I can get better. And then he's gotten better. And now he's, at least right now, he's top of the Heisman leaderboard at most sports books. So I was really, really impressed with the Oregon side of things. The James Franklin stuff is just stuff we already knew.
I think it's fair. Let's talk about Alabama. The loss to Florida State. I can't tell if that was the kick in the nads that Bama needed to get it in gear, or if Bama bought the hype and just underestimated a Florida State team. Yes, they lost to Virginia. That's a pretty good squad under Tony Elliott. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But maybe underestimated Florida State. I don't know what it was, but them going on the road to beat Georgia, even if Bama has owned Georgia over the past handful of years, felt like a big win. And as much as I am a Diego Pavia guy, and Clark Lee is, and I mean it, my favorite coach in college football right now, I think poor Vanderbilt's going to feel more like 2015 Vandy than 2024 Vandy this weekend.
I have loved everyone being like, well, Vanderbilt beat them last year, so we're going to jump on this 10.5. And then, Rob, I've been talking to people that are a little bit more in the know with how sportsbooks operates, and they have all kind of suggested that this number is low, that this number is going to be more by kickoff in the direction of 12.5 or potentially 13.5 because the people with the deep pockets are going to slam Alabama within the next 24 hours. I'm all on Alabama in this one. This is a completely different philosophy, I think, for Kalen DeBoer. Last year, he got caught up in the fact that, hey, that's a Vanderbilt on the other side. They've never been good. They're not going to beat us. We're Alabama. That does not exist anymore. They've taken some punches. Kalen DeBoer has. Alabama has. I think he's been very, very upset about that now for a year. And I think Vanderbilt is going to feel the wrath of the pain that they caused Kalen DeBoer last year. So I'm big on Alabama, and I would just encourage all of your audience to jump on that now before that number grows to potentially 2 touchdowns.
Whatever else happened last year, that was the game that kind of started Bama fans asking, did we get the wrong guy in here? And I do think that there is some level of retribution because, again, Bama looks like they have hit a different gear at this point. So I agree. It would not shock me to see that take off. Let's talk about the other side of that equation, and that's those Georgia Bulldogs who lost at home to Bama. That's not new. Like, Alabama's been taking it to Georgia the past few years. This was my pick to win the Southeastern Conference, and I hung it on what is Gunnar Stockton going to be. Like, Ty Simpson's been a revelation. Gunnar Stockton hasn't really broken out that much, but he hasn't been bad. Where are you putting Georgia in the national mix right now?
So they're a playoff team, certainly. I don't know that they'll be in the SEC championship game. Right now, I mean, Ole Miss is going to be a tough out, man. That's a really good football team. And I think if Oklahoma can survive a couple games against good opponents without John Mateer, that they could be in the SEC championship game. So I think Georgia's a playoff team, but I'm with you. The Gunnar Stockton question mark is a very big question mark. And they've had question marks before at quarterback, but like that question mark was Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett is in a different class than Gunnar Stockton is right now. I think the painful thing for Georgia fans is that in that game against Tennessee, he looked really good at times. And you're like, yes, if we can capture this for an entire game against a great opponent, you're set. You're going to be good. You're going to be in the SEC championship game. Maybe you're a legitimate national championship contender. They haven't gotten that yet. I'm not saying that he can't get there, but I don't have a lot of faith in him getting there by the end of the season. I think he needs a lot more time. So they're going to make the playoffs because they're Georgia, and they're going to get the paycheck for making the playoffs, but I cannot imagine that they're going to get a playoff win unless they just, by some stroke of divine intervention, get matched up with whoever is representing the group of 5.
I think that is, I think it's a fair take. Since we're kind of hanging around the SEC, and since you brought it up, last week was Lane Kiffin week across America. We had a 30 for 30 start to trickle out. We had him getting the ultimate revenge on the LSU player who decided to announce he's dating Lane's daughter by making him puke on the field and lose. I love Trinidad Chambliss. He's fun. He is 2 games in, a better Lenora Sellers than Lenora Sellers has been so far this season. But does that elevate Ole Miss to SEC title contender?
So right now, yes, it does, because Chambliss is playing with house money. He's a D2 guy that now just beat LSU. Yeah, that's the craziest story, I think, right now in college football. But he's also very patient with the offense. And really, Rob, my biggest takeaway from the Georgia game was, or the LSU game rather, was that Lane Kiffin was not the typical Lane Kiffin in big games. He was not rushing to go for every single 4th down. He wasn't always trying to go for 2-point convert. Like he didn't necessarily fall into this uber analytical nerd that he kind of did when he faced Nick Saban in years past, where it felt like he had to do something crazy because he just had to. He had to beat Nick Saban. He was calm. He was poised. I mean, Lane Kiffin, dare I say, was mature on the sideline. We haven't seen a lot of that. I think when you combine Lane Kiffin being mature, when you combine the fact that they have found this diamond in the rough in Trinidad Chambliss as their quarterback, who I believe should be the starter the rest of the way for Ole Miss, and then defensively, they were getting pressure on LSU with 3. If you can get, like, your goal as a defensive coach, can we get pressure with 4? They got pressure with 3. That's unheard of in college football, specifically against another SEC team. Like, you get pressure with 3 against Kent State, sure, whatever. But doing it against LSU is a completely different thing. I think this is the most well-rounded team that Lane Kiffin has had at Ole Miss, and I firmly believe that they're a championship contender.
Fair enough. I like that. All right, last one with Denton Day, host of College Football Overtime on Sirius XM, host and producer on the BetMGM network as well. Florida State, Miami. Like I said, I don't think the FSU loss to Virginia was as bad as people are making it out to be, because Tony Elliott's got a squad, at least offensively, they put together. On the flip side, it's not a great loss for a team that was inside the top 10 to take. On the other side, you got Miami. Miami beats Notre Dame. Notre Dame turns around and loses the next week again to Texas A&M. Texas A&M top 10 team. So, like, the wheel of spins around these two teams. This one, a nighttime game at 7:30. It is one of the greatest rivalries in college football, though it's never really mentioned in that group. I've been there. I've covered this game many times. It is Miami, Florida State. Hard to break down in football because these two teams just try to beat the hell out of each other when they play. What are you seeing out of this game? And what does it mean to Miami to lose this game? What does it mean to Florida State coming off the L to Virginia to win this game if they can get it done?
Florida State winning this keeps their destiny in their control. If they lose in a year of our Lord 2025, Rob, where the ACC is firmly back, their destiny is now completely out of their control, and they need a bunch of teams to lose if they want to get to the ACC championship game and then ultimately the college football playoff. Was what happened against Alabama just a really good game, or was that a shift in what you are as a program? And that's kind of what's going to be decided this weekend. If they lose, it was just a really good game. It was fun. Your quarterback talked some trash, backed it up. Cool. Highlight of the season. Awesome. Your quarterback's not going to be here next year. But, and not that I think he's going to be here next year anyway, but if you beat Miami, you can kind of negate the UVA loss. You want them obviously to beat Louisville, so that continues to make that program look better. UVA, by the way, 6.5-point road dogs, which I think is something to pay attention to. But they need this win. If they don't have this win, they're now behind Miami, obviously, because that's a head-to-head loss. Then you're behind UVA. That's a head-to-head loss. And then also Georgia Tech in the ACC, along with a litany of other teams. So if you get 2 losses back-to-back inside your conference, and it's not even Halloween yet, you put yourself in a really, really bad spot. So they need this win.
Denton Day, host College Football Overtime on Sirius XM. Make sure you tune in and hear that. Are you on the air this Saturday night for College Football?
We are on the air on Saturday. We're also on the air tonight following WVU and BYU. So your boy is going to take a nap in a couple hours so he can stay up to 2 a.m.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Love it. Make sure you check out Denton Day and, of course, across the BetMGM network. My man, we got a hell of a weekend of football lined up. Enjoy it, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Always appreciate it, fellas.
You're the best. Denton Day. Follow him on X at the Denton Day, because smart people put the out front of their name, is what I tell myself. Hey, we got to run to a break. When we come back, Lonzo and I take a look at the NFL schedule and make our predictions for the weekend. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay right there. We will BRB. perspective. We had Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast pull by and talk some some Carolina football with us. We didn't even get to the game this weekend because we had to talk about everything wrong in the franchise, and that took all of the time. We had John and Jarrell from the Movin the Chains pod set us up for our high school football weekend. And, of course, we had the iconic Denton Day from Sirius XM's college football overtime join us in that last segment.
You tired?
No, I'm actually feeling good now.
That was like being on Media Row or something.
Yeah, I feel like a talk show host. You know, we talked. Did a lot of talking.
I was like, that must be what a car wash is like.
It was. It felt good, man. It felt good. We talked a lot of football, but my dudes and dudettes, we have talked I think personally disappointing lack of National Football League football today outside of Carolina. So why don't we take a look at the schedule upcoming for the weekend and make some picks? We'll start in jolly old London, England at 9:30 a.m. when the Minnesota Vikings, led by Carson Wentz, take on the Cleveland Browns, led by rookie Dylan Gabriel, getting his first start for the for the Browns this weekend. This game is set right now at Minnesota -3.5. I am very confused about the Minnesota Vikings, to be honest, but very confused about the Minnesota Vikings. Not confused enough to pick them over Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, give me the Vikings to cover Alonzo.
All right, I'm going Cleveland, and just because I think a lot of people are going to try to prove that they can catch the ball when they actually get the ball.
It is important.
If Dylan Gabriel does this thing where he throws it to his own team, unlike what
old Joey F-Bomb was doing.
Yeah, what he was doing. If you do that and you play good defense, which I believe that they will play, I'm going Cleveland.
Solid pick. Don't hate it.
I think that defense steps it up and shows out for an international crowd.
These fields also, when they play on these soccer pitches, as they are at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, these soccer pitches are like, I don't know, I guess the right word is thick. They're like thicker grass than the grass on most of the NFL stadiums, or certainly than turf. So that usually helps defenses out. Cleveland's might be better. We'll find out. The Raiders are on the road at Indianapolis. That one at 1:00, 6.5-point favorites. Go the Colts. I got to tell you, on Monday, I got to ask the question, hey, Rob Brown, is Danny Dimes, and not comeback player, not most improved, is he an MVP candidate? And the answer is, he's not going to win it, but I have to say, through this point in the season, I have to say candidate. On the flip side, while the Raiders did have Ashton Janty show up and look like the guy that they drafted out of the backfield last weekend, I just don't think they're a good football team. I think a lot of people blew him out of proportion because of Pete Carroll, Ashton Janty, and I don't know. I know he's got a track record of success to some degree, but I did not understand how people think that it was going to be Geno Smith that carried this team to like heightened levels of success. Give me the Colts at the crib to cover 6.5.
Yeah, me too. As I recall, they suffered their first loss last week. Talking about Indianapolis, I believe.
The score of their game last week, I am blanking off the top of my head. Yes, they did. They lost at the Rams.
And it was a close game.
Yes, it was. 27-20, one-score game.
So I think they bounce back and get a victory here.
I'm good with that one. The New York Football Giants at the New Orleans Football Saints. Hilariously, the Saints -1.5 at the crib, meaning they think the Giants are 1.5 better with Jackson start under center for the G-Men.
Scatterboo
is somebody described him yesterday as a crayon eater. And
wow, that is an apt description.
And it feels mean, but then you watch him play and you're like, oh, I get it. The Giants actually released a very funny social media video yesterday where they asked the members of the team to do their best Cam Scatterboo impression. And most of them were doing the thing that, if you have picked up, like his favorite thing is to sneak up on a camera. Like they'll be talking to somebody and his head will just pop up into the frame or pop over to the side. And he just goes, into the camera real loud, like sticks the tongue out and screams and shakes his head around. So they
Braun Breaker-ish?
Very Braun Breaker-ish. So they asked all the players on the Giants to do their best Scatterboo impression. And some of the guys did like the backflip and Hawaii surfing thing he does. And some of the guys, one of the dudes turned around, pointed his body at a teammate, and then ducked his head and just speared his teammate. Was like, that's my best Scatterboo impression. A lot of guys did the yell thing. Well, the end of the video, they go over to Cam Scatterboo and they're like, hey, here's how the players respond. How do you feel? And he walks up to the camera and he's like, actually, I have to tell you, like, this kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. Like, I didn't know everybody was going to be mean. I'm just kidding. Ah! Like, he's a crayon eater, and I'm absolutely here for it. Saints.
He and Jackson Dart, are throwing videos out there together and stuff. I get it. They came in as rookies and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's chemistry there between those two.
There absolutely
guys.
is. You know what their name is on social media right now? The Creatine Creatures. It's my favorite thing.
All right.
Or the Creatine Caucasians, which is even funnier. I got a tough time with this one because the Saints statistically are playing better at home. Spencer Rattler's had his only multi-touchdown. The kid's due for a dub. I am, if you've listened to this show, you know, perfectly willing to pick against my team. I got a vibe Spencer Rattler's dub comes this weekend. Give me the Saints at the crib.
Yeah, I'm going Giants.
That's fair. Cam Scatterboo and Jackson. Like, it was a great start, but like, does the emotion wear off for Jackson Dart? I feel like it does.
We'll find out.
Right? We will find out. All right, let's roll through some more. Dallas at the New York Football Jets. The Cowboys favored by 2.5 on the road, Lonzo.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas.
I'm not elaborating because we're pressed for time. So yeah, I'm going down. And plus, what can you really say? I mean,
maybe they'll tie.
No, let's not do that.
There's at Philly. Give me the Birds to cover 3.5. They can do a fake tush push now. You're all in trouble.
I know James on the stream worried about Denver. Don't be worried about Denver. Philly beats Denver.
Denver looked better last week. Not good, just better. Which at this point, maybe that's what you're gunning for. Maybe better is what you're gunning for. Miami at the Carolina Panthers. This one at BOA in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Fins, however, yes, the Fins favored by 1.5. The Fins. Without Tyreek Hill, the Fins are favored by 1.5.
I can't do it. You know, I cannot believe that last week is what the Panthers are. I'm going to believe it's somewhere in between these last 2 weeks. That there's a mid in there, and that they're that, and that mid is enough to beat Miami. I'm going to go with Panthers.
Good with that. I am good with that, and I'm going to follow it up. Unless there's like a win one for the Gipper mentality out of Miami for Tyreek, which I don't think there is. They don't like him. Houston's at Baltimore. The Texans minus 2.5 on the road at Baltimore. Yeah, that's a real thing, by the way.
Lamar's hamstring is still acting up, supposedly. So, wow, this is hard.
I know.
This one's very difficult, but why not? I'm going to go Houston.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Ravens because I'll tell you, yeah, they got the win, but that's a real bad Tennessee team. I just don't think the Texans are that good. Give me the Ravens with a backup quarterback, and I don't even know who the backup quarterback is right now.
Who is it?
Tennessee's at Arizona. The Cardinals minus 7.5 at the crib. Give me the Arizona. Tennessee's, unfortunately. You know what? I'm going to describe it the way Cam Moore did. If we keep it in a butt, they ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna also go with Arizona.
That's rough. What a rough spot to be in if you were the Tennessee Titans right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road at Seattle. Seattle minus 3.5. They're not dropping 2 in a row. Give me the Bucs on the road over the Seahawks.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. Tampa Bay bounces back.
Yeah, I still don't. I know they're good and I know they got a decent record. I just don't believe in Seattle at this point. Let's go with Detroit at Cincinnati. Detroit favored by 10.5. They might win that game by 40.
Yeah. Maybe 50.
Yeah, that's going to be not great for the Joe Burrow-less Bengals. Washington at LA, I believe. Jaden Daniels is back. LA is minus 2.5 at home, though. It's split
which
game.
LA are we talking about?
That would be the Rams. Oh, no, excuse me, the Chargers. The one that's actually pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to go with Chargers.
I'm not. If Jaden Daniels is back, I'm going to go right back to picking the Commanders every time Jaden Daniels plays. Give me the upset money line win. And finally, the night game, New England at Buffalo. I'm asking for the cover, Buffalo minus 7.5.
Yeah, Buffalo wins.
Yeah, do they cover
7.5? They double it.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to agree. The offense, although my Saints, I was actually pretty proud of the fight they put up against the Bills on the road last week. The Buffalo Bills offense sucked last week. I don't see the Buffalo Bills offense sucking 2 weeks in a row. They are going to. I like the Patriots. They're going to hammer them.
And now, the Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time for a short
speed run.
Yeah, we don't need all that. We got a little extra time. We're good. Let us go. The first thing that's Xing is Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift Xing because Life of a Showgirl releases today. Her new album. I learned this last night. I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently, there are movie theaters, and I don't know how this works, that are throwing T-Swizzle parties for the Swifties to show up and listen to the album in its entirety. Now, I don't know if they have like the music videos for every song and they're playing.
I doubt that's happening around here. Maybe.
No. I know for a fact it is.
Oh,
because
okay.
one of the gentlemen that we work with here told me yesterday, told my wife, because she's like, do you think you want to go to that? And I was like, I love some T-Swizzle. Absolutely not. I could not think of a worse way to spend. I told her, if you want to go get the record and you want to bring it home, I will listen to the record with you tomorrow while we like do other stuff. But I do not want to go to a Swiftie party for that.
Spotify.
No, like I want, like she wants
an actual record.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
those hipsters that have records.
All right.
We have a record player. We love our record player. We use the record player regularly. I told her if you want, and Target is even selling like a pink glittery version. I'm like, if you want to go get,
if you're going to get
the record, 100%, go get it. I'll listen to you. I am not going to a movie theater filled with Swifties to listen to this album. Not a chance in Hades.
I really think you should. I think you should live stream.
I want you to know, I honestly, I probably could be talked into it. If you told me that it was one of the movie theaters that's like going to be serving beer and whiskey, I could be talked into it. Genuinely.
All right. The last thing Xing is John Cena.
It's not this weekend, right?
No, I will tell you the next to last episode of season 2 came out. John Cena is the best wrestling actor of all time.
Did he pass Batista
he's
for this?
Better than Batista.
Really?
He's better than all of them. This is the best acting job.
Wait. Let me ask you
the
this.
emotion, the range. I was just like, I felt it. I was near tears with what he was doing. I can't give that part away until tomorrow night on the Upstate Pulse, where I will completely spoil it. 7 to 9. Yes.
On our brother station,
98.9 WRD. Check it out.
That's it for us. Y'all enjoy the football weekend. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Have a spectacular weekend. We'll break everything down Monday morning when the Rob Brown Show returns right here on the Fan Upstate. Later. I guess my soundboard decided I don't get to play I Win Google Me.
Yeah, I had it up.
No, I know. It was my board.
Okay.
For some reason.
By the way, Steven, yes, I watched Marvel Zombies. I was not that big of a fan of it.
I haven't got to it yet. It'll be it's on deck for this weekend though, because it popped up on my smart TV advertisements yesterday. Because everything's got to advertise to you
Later,
all
Austin.
the time.
I will tell you, I am not exaggerating for a second. It was like, oh my God, that was good. That was so good.
Courtney's actually into it. She when I put it on one day, I was like, what do you want to watch? And I was just scrolling through stuff and I'm like, oh, Peacemaker. I was like, season 2. And she's like, is that John Cena?
James Gunn is saying these last couple episodes are some of the favorite things that he's ever written.
Really?
Dude, the range and all this stuff that happens in it. I can't wait till the final episode next week to find out what the heck happens.
Cody Decker floated a theory to me yesterday that I'm very interested in as a comic book nerd. He said, I think I know where the finale's going. And I said, hit me. And he said, his dad didn't make the helmets. He either took or found them.
By the way, if you watch the season, that's already been answered.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. We've only watched I haven't gotten to season 2 yet.
Yeah,
We're
that's
watching season 1.
to a degree, it's been answered.
The helmet belongs to another.
Oh, it's going to be Brainiac. There's
Ooh, that's not just
yeah, it's
They guessed Ryan. Which is kind of
no, that would be good.
That would be
and that would definitely be something that they haven't really done yet.
Yep.
But I don't see how it's not Brainiac. But he swerved us on some other stuff.
That is true. All right, all you beautiful people. We got to go because I got to go get ready for footballing stuff. So thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Come back Monday. Follow me on social because I'll probably be doing stuff this weekend. Have a great day. Goodbye.